some of the hottest cars New York has ever seen. From dropping some of the hottest verses rappers never heard. From the dope spot with the smoke, fleeing the murder scene, you know me well. From nightmares of a lonely cell, my only hell. But since when y'all brothers know me to fail? Heck no, we're all my brothers with the rubber grips for shots. And if you with me, mama, rub on your tits and whatnot. I'm from the school of the hard knocks. You must not let outsiders violate our box in my plot. Let's stick up the world and split it 50-50, Let's take the dough and stay real taking, And sip the Chris and get pissy, flowing beneathly like the memory of my brother Biggie, baby. You know it's hell when I come through. The life and times of Sean Carter, brother, volume 2. Y'all brothers get ready. It's the hard knock life for us. It's the hard knock life for us. Instead of treated, we get tricked. Instead of kisses, we get kicked. It's the hard knock life. It's the hard knock life for us. It's the hard knock life for us. Instead of treated, we get tricked. Instead of kisses, we get kicked. It's the hard knock life.
All right, it's been a while since I've been with you guys on the live show. Been doing a lot of recorded content, but nonetheless, glad to be back with you all. I ask you kindly to consider smashing that like button. And on top of that, boom, there's this. Get yourself some free USDT. And for all you guys that are saying, I don't like USDT, scam. Guess what? Swap it to whatever you want to swap it to. I don't want to use an exchange. Might be an FTX type of situation. Okay, well then get yourself a decent wallet. Discounts are in the description, and move it to your decent wallet for cold storage. But at the end of the day, free is cool. Take advantage of that. You'd be glad that you did. And listen to this, BTCC has been around since 2011. They might very well be the world's oldest exchange. I've heard about that. Got to double check that. But they never had any major incidents. Pretty cool to say the least. And how about this? BSV? Are you aware? As an American, you can get BSV on their exchange as an American. Last time I've been able to see any situation like that was KuCoin. A lot of us got kicked off of KuCoin, let's face it. But this is pretty cool. And if you do more tasks, you're going to get more than $10. But at minimum, I think it's $10 with USDT. Scan the QR code, and if you have problems for whatever reason, you can basically use the links there in the description. Let's get into the comments. Been a while since I've seen you guys. Really glad to be here with you. We call this Friday Surprise with Max because it is surprise, because I haven't done a live show probably in over a couple months. Let's recognize you guys in the community. You guys rock. Let's start off with the one and only Sean from Iowa. Is checking in, ready for some excitement. Hey, Sean, I really do appreciate you, man. Good to see you. We have Crypto Homes 777 in the house. Good to see you back, brother. Been a while. And we have Candace Maya. Hopefully I pronounced your name right, Candace. I used to have a neighbor down the street named Candace. Really great lady. We used to have a lot of 4th of July bashes in the corner house where I used to live in Southeast Portland, Oregon. It was awesome. Anyway. All right. Reg Had. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. He says, hello, future millionaires. Hello. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here. For all you old timers and old regulars, members, and so on, you see any newcomers, by all means, always welcome. You know how it goes. And we got to welcome this guy, the one and only Elon Muff, Michael Cornwell in the house. Shout out to all the Cornwell fam in his house. Good to see you, Michael Cornwell. Good to see you. All right. Let's welcome a few more, you guys. Oh, it wouldn't be a live Maximus Crypto broadcast if we didn't welcome the one and only, drum roll please, he's at the 50, the 40, the 30. He's going to sell a container, and he's going to have some guy named Tim tell him he could eat the whole you-know-what because it's overpriced. Boomer effing Sooner! Yes! Welcome, Boomer effing Sooner. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. And there's April Cornwell. She says, hey, hey, hey. Max and everyone. Actually, she's saying, hey, hey, hey. I forgot. Anyway, good to see April. BB in the house. It's going to welcome 3 more, you guys. We're going to get into what we have. I always have at least one dork, okay? I'm just going to say this. Nothing against. There's always one dork that can't tell the difference between a live show and a recorded. Hey, live show format is recognize the community and so on. But I'll get some dweeb who'll say, well, you could just put this all in 15 minutes. For a live show, give me a break. All right, go further down. Let's read some of this. Good to see Mr. Lambo's Crypto Talk in the house. And Boomer says he's doing well. Hope all is good. That is good. Good to see you all. Yeah, you too. That's an interesting avatar you got there, Boozy. I want to state this, Boozy. Okay, you're not aware of this, my friend. But for people that are into NBA, which, by the way, playoffs are playing. Hopefully I can catch at least the end of the Warriors game. But, guys, public service announcement real quick before we kick into the crypto material. With him stretching out his head that way, okay? Granted, I should talk, right? My face always looks stretched out. Does that not look like Joakim Noah? Now, if you don't know who Joakim Noah is, does that not look like Joakim Noah? Okay? Anyway, that's no bash on him. Anyway, glad to have you guys here. It's going to be a good one. Sean B, what's up? Craig Berg, what's up? What's up? Robson, welcome from X. I do appreciate you guys from X because X going to give it to you. And Vibra Finance in the house. Good to see you guys. Good to see you guys. Marcus, welcome, welcome. And yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate that. So, that would be Pau Gasol, and I actually went to a Suns game a while back, almost got kicked out. This was back in, I want to say 2009 or whatnot. So, yeah, I was up in the nosebleeds, but I did get a warning, okay? And I had this sign. It said basically, Geico, so easy, Pau Gasol can do it. Because back then, he kind of reminded me of the Geico caveman. It is what it is. All right. We got the one and only Tim Shea. I haven't said this in a while. Who sprays from far away. Have everybody hit this DCK. He is the mayor of crypto, the crypto commissioner in the house, and a member for the last 18 months. I am new to the channel, but have heard good things. You're not new to the channel. All right. That's good stuff. Fam Barajas, I did send a reply to your question, okay, in regard to 101. So you want to see what that response is? I did reply to it, okay? Yeah, I mean, for you guys to come back, I watched that game. You guys were so far down. Was it like over 20-something points, 28 points? One of the biggest comebacks in NBA history, the biggest comeback, I believe, since 1997, and still came back and won. I mean, wow. Yeah, OKC Thunder, man. I mentioned my friend a while back, just real quick. We will get into crypto, I swear. But it's been a while since I've been with the community, right? So, boom. My prediction from the first round was this. I don't think in the East you can sleep on Boston because they're really tried and tested. But out West, I mean, OKC, man, I know the T-Wiz are doing their thing. I'm going to go with my original statement. I'm still betting on NBA Finals, not championship. It's going to be OKC Thunder versus Boston Celtics. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But that's what I'm going with. Anyway. And, of course, that'll be Thunder's first finals run since 2012, right? Absolutely. All right. Yeah, I appreciate that. You guys rock. Glad to be here. And we also got this guy, Cheese, a.k.a. Brian Dowie, in the house. So we got the Step Bros in the house. Could be Celtics, no sweet for sure. Interesting. We got Crypto Crossroads Show. Let's go. Black Root Crew. Hey, man. Glad to have people from the Root Crew in the house. So just an announcement real quick. You guys are probably wondering what happened to the weekly update when I go over to, Root's side of town, because I'm on the northwest side of town, Phoenix. He's over on the east side of town. He's over out in Scottsdale. All right. Yeah, I know. I'm kidding. Scottsdale. It's not Scottsdale. But he's over in, the Bel Air version of Phoenix, Scottsdale. And we do those in-person collaborations. So the good news is this. Some of you guys recognize that the sound, there's some sound issues. We have solved the sound issues. Shout out to Channing Harrell. He wasn't even aware of it, but we solved the sound issues based on some tests that we did anyway. But we weren't able to produce content because we're trying to sort out those sound issues. This coming Sunday, I'll see him again, and we're going to talk more about Zbeck and all sorts of stuff. So it's going to be awesome. All right. All right, we're going to do now is just welcome one or two more people and kick it into what we have. I know it's 11 minutes in welcoming people, but Dennis Lee, I definitely want to give you a shout out. Francisco, good to have you. Of course, I want to welcome back my brother in the space, Rue. Snotsdale. That's good stuff. Two Moons is in the house. Good to see you, Two Moons. And I think we're just going to jump into it. So, again, just want to state this. BTCC, get yourself some free USDT. Get yourself some BSV over there as an American. How cool is that? But also, if you're into leverage trading, you do up to 500x. If you don't know what you're doing, then by all means, don't do it. Not financial advice. But you can follow people that really, really do well on there. Will Fix follows a guy called All of the Money by Q. That guy has been doing this for well over a month, and he has over a 90% success ratio on his leverage. No kidding. Got the receipts on that. Check it out for yourself. I think over 250 people are following that guy, again, on BTCC. And I literally was able, when I originally signed up, I got $10 in USDT within like 3 minutes. So super simple. Take advantage, obviously, of free money. And let's simply get into it. So what I have for you guys is, of course, some brief announcements before we get into the big meat and potatoes of it all. I want to share this. I want to say it's breaking, so I'm not going to do my Maximus crypto breaking news, but I do at least want to address this. Let's pull this up for a brief moment. And it's this. As I zoom in, you guys may have seen this, of course, on X, but it's the whole thing of the European Union to ban anonymous crypto and privacy tokens by 2027. You know, what ones do you have that are part of that mix? Would it create more demand for it, or are you going to be screwed, blued, and tattooed, right? Well, whatever the case be, CoinMarketCap decided to cover it, and it basically mentions some of these things. Part of a strict money laundering, regulations. Ban is significant because it aims to tackle issues surrounding money laundering and terrorist financing in the crypto industry, possibly reshaping how cryptocurrencies are handled and traded, of course, in Europe. Now, again, 2027. So in reality, we're looking at 2.5 years, give or take. Says that this is mandatory customer due diligence be required for crypto exceeding 1,000 euros. They will likely impact trading volumes and user onboarding processes for exchanges and other crypto service providers. So there's a lot about this. We'll try to, look more into this. But yeah, I thought I would share this with you guys. That was one of the announcements I definitely wanted to get into. All right. The other thing I want to get into is this. It's basically a huge shout out to Michael Cornwell. He sends me DMs. You guys are welcome to send me DMs. I don't check every single DM. I do try to, though. But I do get a lot of them. So sometimes what I'm trying to say is I don't necessarily check them like, I answer you in 5 minutes or something like that. But I do check them and I do reply. All right. So what is this? Well, Mike has something interesting. When we talk about mass adoption, everybody, I want you to understand that it's not just going to be obviously BTC, Bitcoin ATMs. Remember how we talked about them in Japan? Well, just at least a few hours ago, Australia has the ability to buy XRP from an ATM machine, and we need this globally. I couldn't agree more. This is 18 seconds. This came out literally, I guess, yesterday, so, still fairly new. Let's go ahead and play this. Draw your own conclusion. What do you think? You also see Stellar here, and I think you also see like a couple memes, and I believe there's another familiar one. But anyway, we're going to play it.
And frozen pizza lovers. Like a Hisense 503-litre and 33-litre bottom mount fridge, only $892. T's and C's apply. This March Madness, the total.
all right, we clearly see what's going on there. How cool is that? And, you know, the way I look at it is mass adoption, but that's a different form of adoption. You know, those are just, you compare like institutional adoption, which we're not there yet, clearly. But nonetheless, this is cool. This is very cool. So shout out to Michael Cornwell for sharing that. I do want to scroll further down. I do want to give this guy a shout out. And this is Darius Magruder. Now, you may have seen in the comments, there is Qubic. Yes, Qubic was mentioned as part of the lineup tonight. And when you hopefully watch and listen, you'll see why that's important. I'll give you a hint. That's because of Gilbert Verdian. Gilbert Verdian? What? Yep, that is correct. You might as well even tag the ICP people, which is crazy, right, to hear some of this talk. So I have a segment about that. We'll get into that a little bit later. But I know you and Adam of Vibra Finance cover that, so very cool to see that. Just going to go further down and see if you guys have any specific questions. Let you do. Let's read this real quick. Mr. Lambo's Crypto Talk says, with good employment data today, do we think the Fed is still on track for cutting rates in June? I think so, but you never know. You never know. I don't think Jerome Powell is going to get fired anytime soon, but I could be wrong. Maybe next time he does, especially if it's bad news again, right? But it is what it is. All right, let's go further down. Jasmy AI, welcome back. Ryan Garcia got dropped. And let's see here. Zoran Pavic, if I pronounce your name right. He said, hi from Australia. Aussie land. Learn and Evolve. Yes. Good to see you. Good to see you. Give him a follow on his channel at Learn and Evolve. I don't know if you got some new content over there, but I'll have to double check. But yeah, always want to support those that are part of our space, in this space. And let's see here. All right, you guys having a conversation with each other. All right, Jim Miller. Hi, Max. Thanks for keeping us updated on the progress of Jasmy. Yeah, no problem. It's been a while. Probably about at least a month I did a Jasmy video. But yeah, we're gonna jump into some of these key things. So the next thing we're gonna do, other than constantly remind you about your free USDT by scanning this QR code, is to jump over to the next particular thing in this outline. And before we do that, we got to welcome a few more people, to say the least. So guess what, everybody? If you hold some of these things, well, nonetheless, you might want to recognize that, you know, there's an anthem where it's like, sometimes you just got to stop, you got to drop, and you got to shut them down. You got to open up shop. Yeah, boy, let's go. All right, hold on a second. I don't know why that keeps playing. All right, hold on. I see what's going on. It was the other screen playing the live show. So my bad. Been a little rusty on this. That's okay too, right? Should be. Better be. All right, let's jump back to what we have and let's welcome a few more of you guys. I don't know. One guy kind of weird comment there, but whatever. I am not a trained puppet, so anyway, that guy knows who he is. and goodbye. All right, so double. Oh, what up? What up? Yes, yes, yes. I'm Negan. Cover the ZBCN pump. Um, I'm sure maybe Rue Black is covering that. I mean, I do cover ZBCN as well, but I do have an outline for you guys. So I'm trying to, I'm not trying to cover it like every single crypto in one night. No offense. So let me see what we have here. See if there's anything new other than that. Obviously there is, right? Let's see what we got. Yeah, ZBEC up about 21% on the day, and on the 7-day chart, we can at least highlight that for a second. We have on the 7-day chart up about 63%, so it's pretty awesome. And I just see that my portfolio overall was up about 88% just off of ZBCN itself. So very, very cool. I think on the month it's a little bit different. Yeah, that's all right. I took advantages of it. I took advantage of it basically when it almost went to all-time lows. Okay, so I know some of you guys did too. And what I mean by that is it was roughly about two and a half weeks ago at 3070. So by the time I got to the exchange to get it and so on and swap it back, I think it went up to about 3077. But really, really glad to take advantage of that. So that was cool. It's AI, but yeah. I should say yeah. I would say no. But the cool thing is it doesn't get flagged on the copyright. It makes it fun for this broadcast. I would say, that's everything is dependent on how long you're looking to hold the asset. And where you feel as though it's going to go. But I've been pretty consistent on the minimum. I feel as though 10 is the minimum. But that's just, something with the research that you got to choose for yourself. Like, where could it realistically go? I'm not talking in this year. So many people want to just get rich this year. And that, a lack of patience and so on. No knock on anybody. That's just, that's just a reality. All right, let's see this. I think I already read that. Let's go further down. Yeah. All right. I agree, Rue. I agree. GSD, welcome back. You texted him X. He said it was okay. It's just Motown, man. Motown. All right. Let's see here. Oh, I see what you're saying. It's A-okay for that. I get it. Well, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. You guys liking that ZBEC? I like it too. ZBEC, tomato. Oh, Max says ZBEC. The dev team says, Zebek. You should say what the dev team says. Guess what? Aren't we all learning? Maybe the dev team is actually saying it wrong, according to pronunciation. I'll leave it with that. I don't want that to be divisive. All right. Let's see here. Max, you going to Vegas? Not anytime soon, especially not in the summertime. I know friends that go to Vegas in the summertime. It's like I'm trying to escape the heat in Phoenix. I'm not trying to go back to heat with more entertainment. If I'm going to go to Vegas, I'm going to go there in the fall, winter, and maybe early spring, but definitely not in the summertime. I don't care what blockchain event is going on in Vegas. If it's 115 degrees in Phoenix and over in Vegas it's 110, I'm good. I'm totally good. I'll stay away from it. Would love to see Max with a Thunderdome background. Oh, well, I could change the background right now for you. Hold on. I don't have the Thunderdome one, but I guess I can go with this. Let me see. Well, you don't see it yet. You will see it. And yeah. Good comment, though. Good comment. All right. Let's go further down. 200 quant. That's my goal at QNT. I have not reached that goal. That's the only disclaimer I'm going to make. All right. I want to thank the Crypto Crossroads Show for the $5 super chat. Hey, man, thank you so much. Really do appreciate that. These live shows, they don't have no commercials and whatnot. The only time there's commercials is if there's a recorded video or there's a replay. I know some other guys I've networked with and whatnot, they do it the other way around, and that's fine. The way I look at it is I'm trying to show material, and it gets interrupted on the live, and then it is what it is. All right. but of course on the replay, yeah, there definitely would be those commercials. Yeah, no problem. We're going to actually get into some of that. So let's see here. Y Tower or LY Tower. Maybe you're from Luxo. I don't know. We appreciate you, bro, always dropping the heat. No pun intended. Dropping the heat. That's funny. When floating head. Oh, that shirt. I'll have to bring that back some point. Everybody could use some floating head. Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. So what we're going to do now is get into it. And we want to welcome Rue White, who is the dark nemesis or the light nemesis of the Rue Black Rue Investing channel. Give a follow over to Rue Black, his channel, When Floating Head. You guys are so funny. Rue and Max Fire. Nice. Thank you. CBCN. I agree with that. All right. We're going to jump back into what we have. So let's pull this up. And it's basically going to come from our brother in the community, Smoke. So we're going to have just a little bit of a disclaimer. Disclaimer, once again, is this. Consider smashing that like if you haven't done so already. I get it. Got to earn the like. I think I'm a more than earn it on this particular one. So we have something new from Smoke. Let's get into it. What does Smoke have? Well, it's not smoke and mirrors, but I do like what he has. He mentioned specifically this. Ripple acquiring Circle could be a stablecoin superplay. A lot of you guys already are aware of what's going on with Circle. First, the bid by Ripple, I think, for $5 billion. Then there's negotiation, spiked up to $20 billion. So I'm not going to get into so much of the specifics about the amounts. I'm going to get into the specifics about why this is a big deal. And I love that Smoke does what he does. He gets into the nitty gritty about it. He gets into the weeds about it, why it's important. So what do we have? Well, he points out this. Circle's upcoming IPO filing just exposed a major weakness. Coinbase still takes 50% of USDC's reserve revenue, even after Circle paid a $210 million to cut them out of the consortium. That's a massive profit leak, and Ripple has the capital structure and incentive to fix it. Here's how it makes sense. And I know I'm reading some of this verbatim. This is good. All right. In 2024, Circle made $1.68 billion in revenue, but only $156 million in net income, weighed down by operational costs and the Coinbase arrangement. Ripple, on the other hand, has multiple cash flow channels, to say the least, right? But here's three key things that he wants us to pay attention to, as in Smoke. XRP sales to institutions, cross-border payment fees, and interest income, and, of course, incentives. You have to keep in mind, Ripple doesn't carry the baggage Circle does, yet Circle controls USDC. And again, like both Rue and I have pointed out, USDC, as in Circle, was formerly known as Stellar USDC. Draw your own conclusion in regard to that, and we might address a little bit more about the specifics on that here in a bit. So that's the second largest stablecoin in the world. If Ripple steps in, they can absorb Circle's revenue, restructure the Coinbase terms, and boost margins. All right, I'm going to come back in a frame for a brief moment. What are they also looking to do? What is the clear thing going on here on what they're looking to do? They are cornering the stablecoin market. So why is this such a huge deal moving forward? Like sometimes people only want to talk about, I just want to see what the actual XRP is going to do. I just want to see what the actual XLM Stellar Lumen is going to do. That is all I care about. Are you sure that that is all you care about? Because if you understand the dynamics of this, you understand why they get so deep into this. So for one, whether you're a fan of Tether, right? The QR code get you some free ones. You can swap it to USDC or whatever the heck you want to do. But whether you're a fan of that or not, Tether has the most pairings of any other stablecoin in the world, right? Whether, people are like, that's next Black Swan event. Again, I've been there, done that, and I'm not saying it couldn't happen. But if Tether goes away, that would be way worse than any FTX Terra Luna event ever. It will make that look like a Sunday school picnic or something. I mean, it would eclipse that by profound measures, to say the least. But here's the key thing. When we talk about pairings are the enablers for volume. Pairings are the enablers for liquidity. And that basically is where it's at. We're talking about now with this, if Ripple gets this done, not only is it going to create that much more liquidity, for them moving forward, but that in itself will have to reevaluate the overall amounts of stable coins and their pairings and so on and so forth. So I do think this is a huge deal moving forward, and he's got a little bit more about this, so obviously we're going to check it out. So he mentions this integration of USDC into RippleNet and Liquidity Hub, turning stablecoins into a native part of the Ripple ecosystem. If you combine XRP speed with USDC regulatory acceptance, that would create a two-token juggernaut for global finance. I mean, I basically said that, but in different terms. Ripple is battle-tested, having fought and survived SEC scrutiny. It's now in prime position to lead in regulated digital assets market. And does Smoke have any reference to some of the other key things that, let's face it, we're all paying attention to? He does. He says, acquiring Circle, Ripple instantly gains access to over $60 billion in circulating USDC. That would add scale and reach to its already global infrastructure. And in return, Circle gains Ripple's operational strength, legal firepower, and direct DeFi integration. That would eliminate its Coinbase dependency while leveling up its entire business model. I do agree it's a win-win for both parties. And I don't want to read all of this, but I like where he shows some of the documentation. Here's some of the highlights. And in that documentation, he points out, I believe it's this, and I'll just actually pull this up on the other screen, make it that much bigger for you guys, just in case you're Boomer Effing Sooner watching with his dog Monica on the couch. Hopefully Monica's cool, doing good. All right, Circle eyes out the IPO, reveals Coinbase page. We know that the filing has come with scrutiny of Circle's financials. 2024 Circle reported revenues of $1.6 billion, net income of $156 million. However, and I'll just jump to this part because it's a little bit bigger. So it says, however, the firm would enter public markets carrying baggage, most notably a costly relationship with Coinbase. Okay, what else? The IPO filing also revealed Coinbase still receives 50% of USDC reserve revenue, and also mentions this whole thing of the post buyout significantly cutting to Circle's profits. This arrangement, along with the other substantial operating costs, has a significantly impact Circle's profit margins. All right, the bottom part. Circle's competitive advantage in this new regard may take a hit. So we'll have to see how it intertwines. And this part isn't highlighted, but I think this is important because I do cover Jasmy quite a bit. USDC recently hit an all-time high supply of over 60 billion as Circle continues to expand its operations, including a recent launch of USDC in Japan under the country's new stablecoin regulations. I mean, again, I think another thing that people are sleeping on or not even realizing is that Jasmy has their own stablecoin play. Did we forget about that? And when that fully comes into full fruition, I think even with Jasmy, they're going to be off to the races because they're looking to pair what they have not only with their own ecosystem, with the DD coin, right, their stable coin, but also with Japanese yen to dominate stable coins, and you get the gist, so on and so forth. We're going to stop the screen on that one, come back, read a couple comments, and get back into what we have. Going to go further down and just maybe read a couple more comments. Do appreciate you guys in the house. What up, E? Yes, good to see you, E, from the Rue crew. Thank you. All right, Mooniverse, happy Friday. Thank you for the info. Maximus, Rue Black, and I guess whatever that means. Anyway, but thank you. Glad to have you here. Thank you for this $1 super chat. That might be a super sticker. Let me check the other screen. And let's see. It's a super chat, so I do appreciate it. And you're also a member, so that, man, that means a lot. Thank you so much for being a member as well. You are appreciated, and I do recognize you in the comments. Guys, welcome Joshua Joseph. If you haven't done so already, always welcome people in this community, especially if you haven't ever seen some of these people, okay? Do appreciate that. Friday Live with Max with tea and cheese and crackers. Yum, yum. That sounds good. I can't do the crackers because the carbs, but I do appreciate it. All right. Let's see here. USDT is going to 5. That would be crazy because that's a stable coin. So anyway. Hey, Maximus, great to catch you on the live. Cheers from Senenco, Cornwall, England. UK. That's awesome. Very cool. Well, welcome, welcome. Glad you were able to catch me on a dive. All right, let's recognize Elon Musk. Michael Cornwell's been a member for 18 months. Got some killers on my payroll. And with that also said, Z-Back, right? Payroll. Interesting. All right. Let's read this from Elon Musk. He says, in all caps, and that's okay, what Jed McCaleb of Living XRP was planned to build what XRP is about to buy and take over. Yeah, right. Exactly. I mean, that's going to be a whole interesting situation because we know about the Stellar, like how they're positioned with Circle big time, right? All right. Here's an update on Monica, Boomer F and Sooner's dog. Doing well, doing good. A little jealous. His wife's birthday's tomorrow, and he bought her a new teddy bear puppy today. Oh, that's cool. Well, happy birthday to your wife, Boomer. Boom. All right. Let's see here. Read this. Lie Tower says, if I'm pronouncing that right, it might be L Lie Tower. If Ripple acquires Circle, we will see one of the most powerful global organizations we have ever seen in recent history. It is going to be scary how untouchable Ripple will become. Wow. Yes, absolutely. Yep. They definitely are on that. All right. Scott Vogel, I always see you in the comments. I always recognize you guys. So I just want to say this. Scott, for one, I appreciate you, brother. Okay. And I do appreciate you even taking the time to even post that, and coming and dropping, sharing your comments with the community. Again, guys, always welcome people like Scott, Just in Time, all you guys. But I want to state this. So Scott obviously has an avatar. Consider making an avatar just like Mooniverse and Rue Black, because it's easy to remember the avatar, the picture. So I just encourage you. If you guys don't want to, that's okay too. You don't have to. All right, we're going to do now is jump into the next segment. But before we do so, hopefully you guys will also enjoy this. What am I talking about? Oops, sorry. It's going to come across your screen here in a bit. And this one is dedicated to my fellow homie, brother in the space, Michael Cornwell, because he is a huge fan of Nirvana. So, Michael, I hope you enjoy this one. And I'm sure you guys are going to enjoy this one too. Smash that like if you like some of this, crypto, and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's just, it's good stuff, and it was fun. Time consuming though, but it was fun to make some of these. So name that tune, and it's crypto related. Here we go.
Load up on guns, bring your friends. It's fun to lose and to pretend. She's overboard and self-assured. Oh no, I know a dirty word. Hello, 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 how low. Hello, 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 how low. Hello, 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 how low. Hello, hello. With the lights out, it's less dangerous. Here we are now, entertain us. I feel stupid and contagious. Here we are now, entertain us. On mulatto, on albino, on mosquito, on a beetle. Hey, I'm once at war, I do best, and for this gift I feel blessed. Our little group has always been and always will until the end. Hello, 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 how low. Hello, 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 how low. Hello, 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 how low. Hello, hello. With the lights out, it's less dangerous. Here we are now, entertain us. I feel stupid and contagious. Here we are now, entertain us. On mulatto, on albino, on mosquito, on libido. Hey, hey, yeah. I forget just what I taste. Oh yeah, I guess it makes me smile. I found it hard, it's hard to find. Oh well, whatever, never mind. Hello, 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 how low. Hello, hello,
All right. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Yes. Smells like crypto spirit to me. I like the last part, right? You know, guy from the XRP army, everyone's yelling at him, scam, it's not going to do anything. In denial, in denial, in denial. Think about it. Everybody living in denial. That was the point. One of these days, myself, and I'll give an invite to Rue, we might just make a crypto music video reaction live. Every video I put out in regards to these music videos has a message. Okay. I just want to state that. And there's some images that match the message. I don't know if you also noticed that I try to match up the lyrics with the visuals. Anyway. All right. Let's see what kind of comments you guys have. I want to see it real quick, and then we'll jump into a little bit more what we have. It's a fun thing we're doing tonight. Not every day I'm with you guys. I do agree. It smells like crypto to me, says Sean from Iowa. Let's go, Mike. Lol. Is this the end of the show? No, it's not the end of the show. I guarantee. I haven't covered Jasmy and all this other stuff. It's not. We're just getting warmed up, right? All right. But anyway, crypto in the 90s. Yep, me too, man. 90s music, my faves. 80s and 90s. All right. Thanks, Rue. Appreciate that. Nirvana, cool rendition. Thank you. Glad to see you guys appreciate that. Let's read this from ISO Maxi. Hey, welcome back, man. Zbeck, XPR, Link with Circle. And if so, how would the effects be if Ripple acquires Circle? Well, I would say, if anything, it's definitely going to be a lot more liquidity for Ripple and so on. A major win for them would be a major win for the others. That's the question. And maybe we'll get some answers further down the road. I don't have those answers right now myself, but I'll try to look more into that. Glad you guys like it. Find it to be fire. 2 moons. Thank you so much. Dina, if I'm pronouncing it right. Remember, because from X. Love the music tonight. Well, thank you, 2 moons. Appreciate that. All right. XLM gonna gain traction. I agree. All right. Contrary 1-1. Welcome. Anthony, welcome. My man Max, appreciate your research. Thanks, man. Thank you. Yeah, I've been, this December will be technically the 4th year of covering crypto content with you guys. So, all right. Smelling like teen spirit. Yes. Fire. Thank you. That means a lot, guys. Thank you so much. All right. Yeah, bro. That would be, you'd love to be part of it. Oh, awesome. I like the one you did of X. Gonna give it to you. I have a couple. There's one that has some, we're all adults, but it has some language, I'll say at least. But if anything, anyway. Any unforeseen consequences? Zbeck. Yes. All right. What we're going to do now is jump into the next part of what we have. And a lot of big updates in regard to ISO 222. Again, shout out to our brother in space, Smoke. Let's jump into what we have in regard to what he has. And I think, again, it's all worth pointing out. So the next thing I want to jump into is this. And basically speaking, it's the statement. What statement? Well, he, as in Smoke, give him a follow. He deserves it at SMQKEDO or DQG. This quote says, cryptocurrencies that participate in the ISO system will gain widespread acceptance and differentiate themselves from other competitors in the increasingly crowded cryptocurrency space. This is documented. Now, what is referenced here? Well, I'm going to show you that. And basically, this is good. This is real good. So, for one, he kind of, gets into all the weeds of it. This is from, believe it or not, Swift on the Supernote 11. I've shared this before, okay? And he, of course, has shared it before too. It seems as though that there is a difference, and I'll come back for a second, between the Swift website and the Swift, like if you go to Swift on your phone, I don't know why that is, but it's a real thing, okay? So he pulls this up. He gives us the highlights. I like what he does here, and he states a few of these things. So here's the original quote. I'm going to actually check out the top of it for you because it definitely needs to be highlighted. So this dates back to 2022, but man, you guys aren't aware of some of this stuff. It says, of all these ISO recognized cryptocurrencies, They share one commonly a focus on streamlining international wire transfers. The use of cryptocurrencies for international wire transfers will improve interoperability of cross-border payments and reduce fees associated with those international transactions. All right. So again, I already read that thing about that statement about what would be part of the ISO system and how we'll gain all this in this space. But when you go further down into this, it says, as a result, the ISO issued the Digital Token Identifier Standard, allowing cryptocurrencies to be recognized as legitimate currency under the ISO system. All right, let's talk about this for a moment. A lot of you guys, this is, again, no knock on anybody. I have respect for everybody for the most part. Some people feel as though that the ship has sailed when it comes to the ISO coins and tokens, the compliant ones, right? Because we know that, you know, the tokens themselves are not technically ISO coins, but we just call it that. But they are in compliance with the 222 standards. Some of you guys want me to call it, was it 2022 or 2002 model moment? But the bottom line is this. It's the research. That's all it is. It's the references. And it's not just like me as, you know, some people call me YouTuber, some people call me content creator, researcher, whatever title you want to give me, I'm cool with that. But then there's a different thing about checking the receipts. And in the receipts, the bottom line, and please don't let this go past your head, is ISO Digital Token Identifier. So that means it's what's associated with the tokenized digital asset, whether it is Ripple XRP, whether it is Stellar XLM, XDC, so on and so forth. Algo in this case is shown in the reference, and even in the citations listed below, you see Q&T mentioned, you see HBAR mentioned. Let's recognize all of it. As I jump more into this and why it matters for you guys, don't ever forget that in the documentation from Swift, for them to recognize, even back in 2022, where they scrapped this or not, we can go back and way back time machines, whatever. It's a legitimate currency under the ISO system. I'll say it again, a legitimate currency under the ISO system. The use of ISO recognized cryptocurrencies in international financial transactions will help cryptocurrencies achieve widespread acceptance through increased trading volumes. All right, what did we just get through talking about? Trading volumes. This is why it's so important to pay attention to the things that you may feel is boring. Like, I'm tired of hearing about stablecoins. You want to know why you hear a lot about stablecoins? It's because stablecoins are the only thing that exists, currently speaking, that have clarity. If you want to get right down to the nitty-gritty of it, that has clarity. So they had to establish their alliance of a clear stance of, yeah, we have to have at least this. Ripple realized a while ago, right, over a year ago, that they had to be part of the whole mix of RLUSD, or stablecoins through RLUSD. They recognize Stellar, whether we like it or not, competitor, right? They already have their power play with USDC. And I still think Stellar's incredibly slept on. But it's the strategic shifts of it all. It's the power plays of it all. When you get back into the nitty gritty, again, the references in 2022, now you see why these statements make sense. And in particular, the whole thing of achieving widespread acceptance through increased trading volumes. Okay, boom. Yeah, boom. Trading volumes. Ripple strategically trying to acquire Circle is going to what? Increase trading volumes. Any way you want to dice it. Pairings are the enablers. We know that. Even if you just go to CMC and you type in BTC and you click on markets and you see all those trading pairs, I think it goes like 30,000 pages deep. You know how many projects would kill just to have 10 pages deep, 20 pages deep in regard to pairings? I think you get the idea. It's a big deal moving forward, and it means a lot of liquidity for on-demand liquidity. No pun intended. All right. We're going to share a little bit more about this and why it matters to you. And I want to full screen this. On the bottom of your reference, you see there are also cryptocurrencies to be ISO 222 compliant, but they are not officially listed as such, which do include our beloved hash graph, And look what it says. Some of you guys are like, it doesn't say my asset, Max. It just says hash graph, or it just says Hedera. Boom. Boil it, mash it, stick it in the stew. H-bar. Boil it, mash it, stick it in the stew. Quant. Boil it, mash it, stick it in the stew. QNT. And I hold Cardano as well. So boil it. Mash it. Says Ada. I think this is a huge find from Smoke. And this is why I share a lot of his material. He deserves to be recognized. All right. Jump into a little bit more about this. Okay. I want to jump into this because we're talking about ISO 222. This is profound. Why U.S. banks cannot afford to ignore ISO 222 if they want to protect dollar dominance. ISO 222 is the foundation for a new financial language that will influence every layer of the global payment infrastructure. Its design enables deeper, faster, more transparent data movement between institutions, across borders, and within domestic systems. The global standard is reshaping, everybody, how financial messages are created, read, and leveraged. This impacts everything from central bank settlement to everyday retail payments. To dismiss it is to underestimate the scale of what is unfolding. Yeah, 100%. Look at this. I go further down. Those who understand its reach and act on its implications will lead to operational efficiency, regulatory clarity, and cross-border agility. All right, this bottom part I think is very well worth pointing out. For crypto investors, understanding this transition is paramount. It marks the shift from speculative hype to systemic adoption. Cryptocurrencies begin to operate within regulated messaging standards. They gain the potential to interact directly with banks, payment networks, and even central banks. And what citation does he pull from the document? It says, even without a clear business case, the group recommended transitioning to ISO 222 because a failure to adopt international standards could have a negative long-run impact on businesses, banks, and even US dollar, or the US dollar. I'm going to come back for a moment. So Rue and I cover this on our in-person collaboration. And if you're not following Rue Black, I don't know what you're doing. You need to follow our brother Rue. Follow him at Black Rue, all one word, on both YouTube and X. And I know for me on X, haven't been posting as much. There's only so much time in a day. But yeah, at least give him a follow, because on our in-person deep dive, we were talking about ZBEC, right? CBCN. And we were talking specifically like, you know, some of these other things about multiple coins, the X's and so on. But here's the bottom line. Bottom line is this. When you hear that there's this narrative, for whatever reason, that Swift is going to be replaced by Ripple and XRP, that's simply not true. It's an upgrade. That part is true. Because when we see statements of this, well, again, back to the history of Swift. And I'm not talking about Swift blockchain. Some of you guys that are tuned in here, nothing against you, you think that Swift blockchain is SWIFT. It's not. There's this SWFT. I just want to state that out. Two totally different things. They signed a coexistence agreement. Okay, so at least they were, you know, they did that. But again, try to realize that when you see these statements of ISO 222, who introduced ISO 222 originally? It was Swift. When did they introduce it? They introduced it in 2004. So again, why would you want to replace yourself with something you introduced? Again, upgrade. Big difference. Kind of like Microsoft Windows. You know, they came out with other Windows. Can you imagine Windows 95? It's like, we're going to introduce the concept of I'm just throwing this out there, Windows 10, and way into the future. That doesn't mean you're being replaced. That's an upgrade. Again, difference between upgrade, difference between being replaced. But I think the material, the citations, what is mentioned specifically from Swift is a major big deal moving forward. All right, is this all I have? No, it isn't. I want to give a shout out to this guy, and that's All in Crypto, because All in Crypto had a piece with Smoke. Some of you guys have never heard Smoke's voice. Well, he's got a cool voice, right? You can tell he's kind of into hip hop and stuff like myself. But with Smoke Dog, it says on how old policies have prevented crypto from unleashing its true potential. Well, with the U.S. new crypto stance, ISO tokens, and again, back to the reference we just showed, XRP, HBAR, ADA, and more will finally have a chance to thrive. It's time to lock in. Listen to this from our brother in the community, Smoke. You'll be glad that you did. A minute and a half. Smash the like if you haven't done so already. Here we go.
That have prevented all of the utility and price action that should have happened years ago. And seeing that happen up close, and this is not something that I was even aware of when I first got into crypto, but it's become more prevalent as in recent years, is that there has been specific letters and guidelines and guidances that have explicitly prevented banks and the biggest commercial banks in the world from interacting with these altcoins and their platforms, which would have, inevitably exponentially boosted their value years ago if these systems were rolled out years ago. However, this entire process was stalled from a not so crypto friendly administration previously, and that stalling of that that was a huge barrier. We're saying like 6+ years in the case of something like XRP, and even the entire market, where they were not able to fully reach their full potential because of simple legal guidances. And institutions have explicitly said that regulatory clarity is the number one catalyst for their operations and their business. So the fact that I'm seeing every letter, every guidance, every federal institution roll back these anti-crypto policies, that is one of the final straws to actually allow crypto technology to thrive in the number one economy in the world.
The number one economy in the world to thrive. Man, I'm telling you, Smoke, he's getting interviewed by everybody because everybody recognizes that this guy, in my opinion, I mean, he's definitely up there when it comes to research. Mount Rushmore of top researchers. I got Tokenizer, I got him up there. There's a few other guys, Yeah, they go deep for a reason. All right, what we're going to do now is just recognize a few more comments before we kick it back to what we have. And let's see here. Let's read this from some of you guys. So Tim Shea said Dragon Chain, fresh off the SEC retraction. I know Rue Black does an excellent job of covering Dragon Chain. He says, listen on LCX, bullish, awesome. Awesome. Love your music. Keep it up. Thanks, man. I have a little bit more here in a bit. I have, I think, 20 songs. I don't know if I play them all for you guys, but as soon as I get enough in regard to 1 hour of music play, I'm highly considering doing a 24/7 AI radio station on here. So where it'll show hopefully some charts and then hopefully some tunes to go with it, and then a place like a crypto chat room where you guys can go chill with your Tim Shays and your Brian Dowies and your Elon Muffs and so on, and enjoy some tunes too, right? Be kind of cool. Let's read this from Michael Cornell. 60 billion USDC on ETH. Will that go to the XRP? That's a great. I think you're trying to make an example. Yeah, they should be, and that's of course is where the whole worry of Tether comes into play. But yeah, good point. All right, the underlying liquidity of it won't be. I think that's typo. All right, Anthony Max equals go to research. Well, that's quite the compliment. I don't consider myself a goat. Some people do, but I do appreciate it. I try to stay humble about that. So thank you. Shout out to Kendrick Lamar. He said, to stay humble and for Maximus to sit down. All right. There are only 2 real stable coins. Interesting. Yes, I did say X. Shout out to X marks the spot. Did you say X Max? Absolutely. Good to see you, X, who marks the spot. Joshua Joseph, Max, weren't you talking about months ago how other coins could be wrapped? Yep, in XDC smart contracts to become ISO compliant. Yes, we saw that with the evidence. So it's not me just saying it and talking about it. We actually saw the examples with the visuals and so on. So I think what really stands out moving forward, I mean, even from R3 Quarter, right? We know that with R3 Quarter, you have XRP and XDC as settlement tokens. Like, when R3 finally gets their thing going, obviously after clarity, that in itself is going to be absolutely massive. Monica Long talks about opening up the floodgates. Like, what one of the 1,700 plus NDAs, what ones would really stand out? Well, to me, it's like, yeah, there's the big institutions and so on, but R3 in itself, that's massive. R3 core to bridge, huge. XRP, that, you know, we understand those two really stand out because settlement tokens with that. But with XDC, it's like wrapped in XDC. Yeah. What is an example of this? I don't talk about this enough, but shout out to Adam of Vibrant Finance. He does an excellent job covering Pulse Chain. Pulse Chain does a lot of representations of wrapped tokens within their ecosystem with Pulse Chain and so on. So that's one example. What about the institutional side of that? That's why I'm so bullish on XDC, because I look at it from the perspective of, wow, you're going to have institutional wrapped tokens in their smart contract ecosystem. And if you do it with XDC, you obviously pay attention. You are now ISO 222 compliant. How so? XDC is the plug to make that happen. And oh, by the way, like we point out, BTC, a million TPS. Now, it wouldn't be the native BTC, but it would be the wrapped version of that, what we discovered. Still, that's a big deal, because we know that wrapped tokens, for the most part, you know, there's exceptions, obviously, like, you know, wrapped Luna. No offense, Michael Cornwall, don't shoot me on that one. But for the most part, a wrapped token is supposed to be the pegged value to the native asset. So if you look up on like CMC, you go with like wrapped Bitcoin. You know, it's supposed to be like the same value, not market cap, obviously, but same value of the native token. So I think that's a big deal moving forward, obviously, for things like XDC. All right, let's go further down. Rue Black says he's having a conversation with somebody. Sorry about that. Nexera is still in the ISO mix. From what I've seen, yeah, I still believe in Nexera. I wish I would took advantages of, you know, when it crashed big time, and of course, you know, some of the recent hacks once again. A lot of people lost confidence in it, but the way I look at it is, I think long term it's going to be fine. The other thing I was going to point out, though, is, you know, I just took advantage of other sales at the moment. Like, it was, for me, it was like more Quant at roughly $60, $62, $65, or, you know, buying another significant bag of Nexera. I went with Quant on that one, but that's no knock on Nexera. I can't own everything or more of everything. Yeah, I can get into a little bit of that. I might have to, you know, make sure I double check which one I have. All right. Anyone know a keto is BS? You're talking about the diet. I'll tell you it's not a BS. I already lost 15 pounds doing that for a month. All right. So I don't think it's BS. All right. Is your music channel going on chain? It's just going to be here because it's I won't get flagged with copyright, which is cool. So you guys will probably see a 24/7. It's going to take some time. It's not going to happen tomorrow. Might happen a month. Might happen 2 months. It's a long-term work in progress, but it'll be really cool. Okay. Yeah. Thanks. Appreciate you too. All right. Let's welcome Foxington. All right. Dennis Leal, Securitize is asking a lot of ZK Sync to tokenize real-world assets. Anyone familiar with ZK Sync? Well, I'm familiar with zero knowledge proofs and so on, and some of the you know, ZK EVMs and so on, but not specifically that one. So maybe Michael Cornwell or Tim Shea or somebody like that would know, or Francisco Dennis Leal, which is you. All right. CBEC coin potential is enormous, like XRP. I agree. Please pay attention. We do. We cover it quite a bit. I have quite a few deep dives with Rue Black about that. All right, let's read this bomb one. Dennis Little, yeah, I saw Crypto Hole talking about. That's awesome. Good for him. All right, well, speaking of here's a little fun one for you guys. This is not me making fun of Crypto Hulk. The specific guy in our community who took some screen captures, to say the least, of the Hulk. Hopefully, I can find this. I don't know. It might be in a different one. Yeah, this is good stuff. Everybody deserves a good laugh. All right, here we go. Shout out to our brother in space, Crypto Hulk. Some of you guys consider him the GOAT. He you know, whether you like him or not, he does bring awesome content, deep dives, and so on. This is Crypto Hulk XRP Alpha.
Well, We got we our cakes and Ripple. Don't copy what I do. And oh shit. It sure went there the first. Don't copy what I do. Look, you don't have evidence like me. You have to acknowledge that. You have nothing. You're a fucking eunuch. You know what eunuch is? They take care of all the harem women. They chop their nuts off. Okay, that's you. All right? You don't have the evidence out there. Oh, fuck, Crypto Hulk. He must have one about like that big. Oh, man. I want to see it.
I don't want to see it, but I do want to see his alpha. All right, his alpha is in research. Okay, but shout out to Crypto Hulk. There's a particular person in this community. He's not here in the chat. I'll give you guys a clue on that. But who put that together? Good stuff. All right, we all could use a good laugh. All right, so you guys are crazy. You guys like that? Yeah. Anyway. Boomer F. Sooner says, good Lord, got a guy in my office that does that throat clearing non-stop all day. That was what sucks the most about having to go back to office. Is he related to Crypto Hulk? All right, that's bad. Josh Joe said, yeah, it's been tough to use. Sorry, to get used to the coffee. Yeah, it is what it is. I mean, maybe, people could point out things that I do a lot, right? Anyway. Right, Rue? Anyway, he needs to. Oh, jeez. All right. Well, hopefully, people. I try to stay nice. I feel like I was being mean. I don't want to be mean. I'm not a mean person. All right. Good stuff. All right. What we're gonna do now is get into the next part of what we have, and let me clear out some tabs real quick. All right. So we're gonna talk about crypto regulations here in a bit. I want to advise you guys who are waiting for the Jasmy outline. That is going to be the supreme piece. It's going to premiere here first. The recorded chopped up version will be airing at 6 o'clock Pacific, 9 a.m. Eastern. So 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Pacific tomorrow morning. It is a feature that I did in regard to a collaboration with Michael Golpe. You need to follow Michael Golpe. He can be followed at Michael Golpe. I'll just type it into the chat. Michael Golpe. And yeah, we put this together a few days ago, but I have never spoken more passionately with the findings and the research ever. You will never have seen me more excited to cover a crypto project ever in the history of this channel ever, compared to what I covered with him on this piece. It's been a while since I covered Jasmy. I'm telling you, this is the one. I don't make requests often. I will make this request. It is quite the deep dive. It's not like an hour and a half or anything like that. From beginning to end, it's just boom, 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 boom. Look at this, look at that. Wow, connections, everything. There's a hint. It's NVIDIA. How recent? Very recent. Do I have anything to bring the receipts? Yes. So if you're old school and used to have like a VCR or Betamax, make time for that video. Watch it in segments if you have to do so. If you're a guy like, I don't have, ain't nobody got time for that, then guess what? What you need to do is click on the chapters. But whatever the case be, stand by what you have when it comes to Jasmy. Because after watching that, if you're not convinced that Jasmy is still one of the most slept on, if not the most slept on, I don't know what to say. Jasmy is clearly a top 5 crypto for me that the whole world is still, for the most part, the majority, is really, really sleeping on. I'm serious. I would never make these claims, and it will speak for itself. You get super hyped up on it, and I'm not trying to create hype. The research hypes itself. It will premiere here with you guys, so you get first. There's no ads. If people donate super chats and stuff like that, hey, that's awesome too, but you don't have to. But of course, when it's recorded format in the morning, you guys will see ads. Can't do it 100% free, but I just want to point out some of that. So what we're going to do now is basically play this, and basically I think it's worth pointing out. So let's pull out some of this stuff, and hopefully you guys enjoy this next one. Here we go. What will it be? Well, just say here we go. It's about to be pulled up. I think at the end of the day, we need to, I think we need to party up in here. We got a big party of people. Shout out to DMX. Party up. But it's Motown. Here we go.
Y'all gonna make me lose my mind. Up in here, y'all gonna make me go all out. Up in here, y'all gonna make me act a fool. Up in here, y'all gonna make me lose my cool. Up in here, if I got to bring it to you cowards, then it's gonna be quick. All your mans that been to jail before, click. And I don't know who the you think you turned into, but I'm not him. I slim. So watch what you do, or you gon' find yourself buried next to someone else. And we all thought you loved yourself, but that couldn't have been the issue. Or maybe they just saying that not to dish you. That's why you laying on your back, looking at the roof of the church. Preacher telling the truth and it hurts. Y'all gon' make me lose my mind. Up in here, y'all gon' make me go all out. Up in here, off the chain. I leaves off in the brain, cause still want the fame off the name. First of all, you ain't rap long enough to be with me, and you ain't strong enough. So whatever it is you puffin' on that got you think that you Superman, I got the kryptonite. Should I smack him with my all the mic? Y'all is characters, not even good actors. What's gonna be the outcome? Let's add up all the factors. You whack, you twisted, your girls are, you broke, the kid ain't yours, and everybody know. Your old man say you stupid, you be like, so? I love my baby mother, I never let her go.
My favorite part of that is the end. You know, I love my baby mama, I'll never let it go. Anyway. I want to welcome Dr. Denise MD. Shout out to you. I always see you in the comments because I recognize your avatar, and I always encourage you guys to make an avatar. But again, you don't have to. Thanks, Dr. Denise. I'm really, really pleased to have you here. I am not a doctor, but I can respect people that are, you know, they have their doctorates and so on. So that's very awesome. I hope in the future to get my doctorate. I have my MBA, and I think I'm going to have to do another 4.5 years of school for that. I'm hoping that I can find a college that will put me on a fast track system like I did previously, that I can get it done maybe in 2.5 years. So that might be part of my crypto endgame when I have more time to do so. But shout out to you. I'm really happy to have you here. And yeah, I'm glad you saw me live. Thank you so much. I'm glad you love the content analysis. That really means a lot, Dr. Denise. Guys, give a warm welcome to Dr. Denise. Really appreciate seeing you here tonight. Deep dives are amazing. Thank you. I'm so grateful for you to even be here. Let's read this from Joshua Joseph. Man, I really need to get Jasmy. You're going to see why now. I'm just saying this. All right. I know we got to get into it, but yeah, this is kind of going to be a little bit of a WrestleMania. Not too much. I mean, it is Friday night, so I'm telling you guys flat out, even if you miss it on the live tonight, watch tomorrow's deep dive. So it is scheduled. It's going to air at 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Pacific. It says Jasmy Bombshell 2025 new update. I know I keep making this statement, but that one has to be the master bombshell of them all. Like what they call it, Moab. That's the mother of all bombshells, for real. I've been covering Jasmy for a while. You will see it. I know I'm having a lot of build up on it, but it's true. All right, let's read this as well. I have a lot of time as Data is my boyfriend. Well, that's awesome. You know what that also tells me, Denise? It tells me that you might have been hurt at some point. I got out of a really, really toxic, narcissistic relationship over 6 years. The last couple years were hell. But I hear you on that. I am not wanting to just jump back into another bad situation. But yeah, how about this? Data is my new girlfriend. How about that? So we share that in common. Anyway. All right. Joshua Joseph. Caleb and Brown has it, but minimum is 500 purchases. I think they're solid. You know, they reached out to me a few times. I know Will Fix has a thing with them. I think even Rue Black is going to go with them and so on. So I need to do that. It's just so much stuff to cover. Anyway, I do think they're pretty solid, though. All right, let's read this from Candace. Strange red alert message on the circulating supply of ZBAC on CoinMarketCap right now. I haven't seen this before. Interesting. Well, paging, instead of paging Dr. Greenthumb, paging Rue Black. You might want to look into that, sir, and maybe he can give us some updates, and maybe we'll cover it over on Sunday, because I will be getting together with him on Sunday, and then usually I chop up the videos from that point, put it out either Monday or Tuesday. That's how it goes. All right, fam. First time you watched and heard him. Hold on. I watched him. I said never again. My kids were annoying me in the car, so I said I have got a good podcast for it. Put Crypto Hulk on, and they were. Oh no, I'm so sorry. That's funny. Never again. Yeah, they're like You're like, that's not him. What are the chances? No, I failed. Cool, Dina. I'm glad you like it. Love this. I'm glad you guys like it. All right, Tim Shea having a conversation. All right, let's go further down. I'm looking to finish my MBA, or excuse me, I already finished my MBA back in 2015. So it's looking to get my doctorate in business, believe it or not. So yeah, that's another thing I'm actually looking into for crypto endgame. Rue and I talk a lot about Draper University. I wouldn't mind maybe at some point attending Draper University, because for a game that I'm going to be working on in the future, which, the init cheat would be through Hedera Hashgraph. I wouldn't mind learning more. So, yeah, Draper University have connections. I might not need it at all. They have a lot of connections. I dealt with VCs in the past. And then my emphasis in my MBA was entrepreneurship and so on. So I majored also in finance. I have a minor in marketing. So anyway, let's go further down. You need a good place to buy Jasmy. Can anyone recommend? Yeah, I have a recommendation right now. Are you ready for it? Here it is, right there. BTCC, get yourself $10 free of USDT. You can swap that for some Jasmy. And yes, they have Jasmy over on BTCC. And again, use your own discretion, do more of your own research. You can do up to 500x leverage if you choose to do so. Or if you want to play it safe, you can. They have demo charts. So if you want to copy somebody, or you just want to not play with the money and see how well you do, you could demo leveraging before you do it. And you want to follow a guy, his name is All of the Money Q, and he has over a 90% success ratio. I'm not kidding. It shows it if you follow him. So certain people you could follow on there. So again, just scan that QR code. You'll see what I'm talking about, and you can get Jasmy over there. How cool is that? You can even get like BSV over there. BSV is very hard to get, especially as an American. All right, let's go further down, and yeah, let's read some more comments. So, well, thank you. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to jump into this next part of what we have. So what do we have? Well, it's the new announcements. And basically it's this. Let's talk about crypto regulations and so on, why it matters for you. In these headlines, you see quite a bit of information here, just on a simple search. The things that caught my attention was Indexbox. UK introduces credit card restrictions for crypto purchases. News and statistics. How about this one right below it from Crypto News? UK's chief financial regulator proposes bans on buying crypto with debt. If you think about this, remember how we talk about tokenized debt? Yeah, right, exactly. It's kind of like certain purchases you do, like even with the lotto system. You go down and try to buy what? for example, a Powerball, ticket, or a Mega Millions, or maybe your local state lotto ticket, are you able to do that with a credit card? Well, at least here in Arizona, they require cash or debit card. You can't do a credit card. Think about that. Why would that not apply to what you see in regard to crypto? Getting further into this, another key highlight I want to point out is the top right. So there's a lot of things here, but top right area posted 5 hours ago takes the cake. What am I referring to? It's from Tipperanks. It talks about UK crypto crisis as new regulations crack down on public buying currencies. All right. I should say that was the one that was highlighted. It's actually one below it, so I apologize. UK drafts crypto law in line with US regulations, though not with Europe. All right. So what is this? Well, here it is blown up for you guys, for you can see it a little bit bigger. Chancellor Rachel Reeves stated robust rules around crypto will boost investor confidence, support the growth of fintech, and protect people across the United Kingdom. I won't read all of this, but whatever the case be, if you're wondering about how they align themselves with the whole thing of the United States, well, here it is. Because I don't know if this has been mentioned enough. I don't know if Smoke or Tokenizer or whoever's covered this, but I'm going to cover it. So here it is. It mentions specifically that the UK government has published draft legislation that will bring crypto assets under the remit of existing financial regulations, aligning with the US. This deviates from the European Union approach of creating a standalone framework for the industry, which crypto businesses may find more restrictive. Now, here's the bottom line. At the end of the day, it's even the terminology. I know that the terminology of remit and remittances gets brought up quite a bit, but we are talking about the UK and the United States. So honorable mention to Quant Network. Again, Gilbert Verdian, his background about specifically like being on the panel when it comes to the Federal Reserve and that statement of remit. What was Quant formerly known as? Remit. So there's that. Pull up more about this. Why it matters. This new law would classify crypto assets as financial instruments. This is your big aha moment. Think about this. This is why you're invested into utility. The ISO related coins and cryptocurrencies are compliant with that. Instruments. This is just a glorified term of utility, financial utility instruments. Think about it. A little bit more about this. Pull this further down. Robust rules around crypto will boost investor confidence, support the growth of fintech, and protect people across the UK. Not just the UK, even the United States. So you get further down into this. Does this align? And, again, politics, I understand, is very divisive. Just bring in the news. If you want to know who I voted for and whatnot, you can send me a DM if that's your thing. UK aligns its regulatory approach with Trump's. The legislation mirrors the US's approach to crypto assets, which primarily treats them as financial securities, subject to existing regulatory frameworks. 3 days into his second term, President Trump signed the Strengthening American Leadership in Digital Financial Technology. It was an executive order, and that was directed with the whole thing of federal agencies to develop a unified regulatory framework for digital assets. So I think this is a big deal, to say the least. Now, we were talking a lot about, what is going on in the world of like the activity of it all right? And again, I want to point out some of these platforms. So you guys know me. I share this whole thing of BTCC. And what I want to point out to you guys is I'm going to share what it looks like to you. So I'm going to pull this up, and basically speaking, you're going to see this on your screen here in a bit. And I want to pull up things like, the spot orders and how easy it is to see some of this. So for one, let's share something with you guys. Like, do they have Jasmy? Somebody asked me that. Well, the answer is yes. Answer is absolutely yes. They do have Jasmy. And as you see here, Jasmy with Tether. So again, you go over here, use that QR code. You can get yourself some Jasmy. And, Jasmy has rebounded in light of all the FUD. Excuse me, here it is. With all the FUD about the whole thing about the Binance situation, right? So take advantage of getting yourself some free USDT. Take advantage of getting yourself some Jasmy. If you have issues with Tether for whatever reason, again, I get it. A lot of people don't like it. Swap it. And how about this? You know, some people are like, well, I don't want an FTX situation. Okay, then guess what? Decent wallet. Links are in the description. Get yourself a discount. Get your Jasmy. Move it to Decent Wallet. Safeguard yourself. Again, free crypto, not too shabby. You do more tasks other than just signing up, right? Let's say, for example, you do deposit, then you get even more bonuses. I think the next tier goes from $10 to $30. Let's say you do leverage. It starts growing and so on. So I just want to point that out. And again, check out my QR code right here. Okay. So the next thing I want to jump into, because we're talking about movement. All right. I want to reintroduce this to you. And it's Chainstats Pro. Now, why do I want to point this out? The reason why I want to point this out is, for one, it's a project I'm very proud to share with you guys. It's not a meme token. As you guys know, you guys follow Encash. Encash is part of this. You guys, Nick, tokenizer. Okay, so Chainstats Pro, this is an analytical tool. So we talk about utility. This is utility. This is an actual tool. You can stay ahead of the game. Is it a good thing to use in combination of, let's say, for example, you are going to leverage trade with BTCC? Okay, I like to have a tool where I can see the movement of what is happening before some influencer talks about it, before, Rublack talks about it, or, Rod Mass, Crypto Future. Those guys are way better with charts than I am. And, shout out to this guy. This guy knows charts, Edward Vincent. So my point is this. Stay ahead of the game. This is how you stay ahead of the game. Yeah, it's a premium thing. There is a subscription, but their tokenomics are like Quant network. Seriously, how cool is that? All right. So they don't have billions of coins or anything like that. What is it built on? Oh, it must be built on some garbage. It must be built on Ethereum. It's a ERC20 token. Scam. It's not scam. It's built on XRPL. How cool is that? Let's zoom in a little bit more about this. So you see here, you can track some things. And on the bottom right, you see, for example, it'll show you the buy volume, buyers, sellers, so on and so forth, right? You do like 15-minute chart, 5-minute, 1 hour, 6 hours, whatever the case be. But you can see what's on chain, and then, of course, with what's going on with Chainstats. You can see if something's being liquidated. So in this example, you see, for example, Coinbase, and you see the pairings. You can see, for example, KuCoin, Bitmart, other exchanges, what's going on with Binance, so on and so forth. But the bottom line is, I think that this is very good to use in conjunction, I should say, or paired with things like your BTC for your leverage trading if you choose to do so. Or maybe you want to do shorting for whatever reason. Again, a great tool to use. All right, let's jump back into what we have in that regard, because guess what? It's a little bit more in regards to Chainstats. And they're active. So for one, I would follow them. They have a pretty decent following for the most part. Again, very low market cap. Again, a lot of you guys want to buy the floor on something. Not financial advice, but I mean, hey, I'm not promoting a meme coin, so how cool is that? With Chainstats, they can make this dream become a reality. Not a matter of when, or a matter of if, but when. On chain and on time. Look at the pairings on this. Let me share this with you guys. So what we have here is it mentions Constellation Day, QNT, Casper with a hard R, HBAR, ETH, and XRP. As I expand the screen on this, what do we have? Well, I know it's a little hard to see, and if anything, I'll take off that little branding of the QR code just for a brief moment. Okay, so you see here, it's worth pointing out. On the far left side, it mentions this, like how this all comes together, like Etherscan, below that Constellation DAG mainnet. Then on the right side, it says, for example, or in the middle, Chainstats, what if all this data was connected? You know how we talk about interoperability? So what if it was all connected? XRP, seeing what's on the XRP scan, right? Let's pull this up. See that? Even Hedera. Okay, that's cool. Even QNT on the bottom, right? Casper. That's very, very cool. Now, watch this. A little bit more about this. According to Chainstats, again, they posted this back not that long ago, just a few days ago, April 24th. says real-time order book liquidity maps provide our users with a clear view of market dynamics. Curious about how other traders and investors are positioning their buy and sell orders? Let's get straightforward into it. Sell blocks, resistance above the current candle indicate where sell orders are being placed. Now, again, this is at that time, but this is a good example. I'm going to show you. So this is Constellation Day. Buy blocks below the current price represent resting bids waiting to be filled, like a support. Don't trade blindly or rely on outdated tools, right? Use Chainstats. And as I pull this up for you guys, again, you're going to see an example of this. So let's pull this up on the other tab. And as we do so, here's a representation of what they're talking about here. You can see kind of like how this gives you an idea. And then, you can even change the colors of it on the candles for whatever you choose and do so. And it gives you everything live. So this is just a snapshot, but you can see it live on the 6-hour chart, 1 day, 1 hour, all the way up to, I believe, 5 minutes. I don't know if they have the 1 minute one, but I know you can do 5 minutes. So I think there actually is a 1 minute. It depends on the pairing. So that is cool. A little bit more about this. You can explore utility with Chainstats. With their wide variety of tokens, we bring all the tools you need. I mentioned Jasmy before. I put in requests to tokenizers, so shout out to you guys from the Jasmy Army. We do have Jasmy integration with Chainstats Pro. How awesome is that? With a wide variety of tokens, they bring all the tools you need. And as you can see here, at the time, I don't know if this still exists, I apologize, but for just $1 at that time, it says get access to our trading pairs, all of them, and take research to the next level. And of course, if you want the premium ones, that's going to give you more access to actually the utility of Chainstats, as in their analytical platform. But you can see how it comes together. Your things like H bars, your X's, your QNTs, the order book heat map. You can see if something's going to be liquidated from obviously Coinbase. I'll come back to the frame for a moment. Shout out to Mind Crypto. Shout out to Sebastian in the space that we do, especially with the X spaces. So they pointed out like the Coinbase 10 wallet, especially for QNT. You could track things on what's going on with that long before somebody does it on a live show. And that I think is crucial. And that is very, very cool, because even like with the Coinbase 10 wallets for QNT, how many times do we see like 25,000 QNT, not dollars worth of QNT, but 25,000 QNT being moved over and over and over again with, I don't know, 25 plus wallets or something like that? That's a lot of QNT, but that was with Coinbase. So it's like, it kind of gives you an idea of like, is this exchange going to onboard a lot of this? Are they going to liquidate? What are they going to do? Well, on that example, we saw that QNT was the only token being held on that Coinbase 10 wallet. It didn't have a pairing with ETH. So that tells me what? It tells me that they're not looking to do something crazy with QNT and move it. They're looking to park it. They're looking to lock that up, because where's the ETH pairing? Exactly. This gives you an idea to be ahead of the game. That is cool stuff. And another example I want to share with you on Chainstats is this. And again, this is a token, guys. So you look into it if you choose to do so. It's, I believe, listed on CMC and also CoinGecko. Very, very low market cap gem, in my opinion. The liquidation cluster on XRP has been cleared. Thanks for playing. Well, what do they have? Well, look at this. As I pull this up on the other screen, you see here, again, it gives you an idea, at least at that point, from the Bybit exchange, top left, of the XRP USDT volume and so on. So again, stay ahead of the game with Chainstats. And like it mentions, the liquidation cluster XRP has been cleared. Thanks for playing. That was, of course, the example from September 21st. But again, think about how many people, and I'll come back, think about how many people, basically speaking, are using things like BTCC, want to stay ahead of what's going on. Yeah, you can follow all of the money by Q, which I would recommend, because he's over a 90% success ratio on his leverage. But we talk about following the smart money. Some of you guys point out, shout out to Adam of Vibrant Finance, like, hey, some smart people watching your show. Hey, I appreciate that. That's awesome. Some people with, whales or whatever the case be, the big money. But that big money, I don't care if it's small money. I don't care if it's just average Joe Schmo like you, me, and so on. We want to stay ahead. We want something that's going to help us. this is real utility. This is a real tool. So again, check it out. And of course, here is your plug to at least get your tether. And then from there, check out more like your Chainstats and so on. I'm going to stop the screen on that one. The next segment we're going to get into is going to be a big announcement from QNT. And then we're going to get into the biggest announcement, I think, of 2025, in my opinion, when it comes to Jasmy, here in a bit with special guest on this premiere, Mr. Michael Golpe. You definitely want to check that out. And yeah, let's get back into the comments for a brief bit. So hopefully I didn't skip over anybody's comment. If I did, I apologize. And let's pull it up. All right, so let's go further down. Let's see here. All right, let's check this out. I'm trying to see if you guys have anything specific. All right, let's read this. Joshua Joseph. Oh, okay, cool. You already signed up for BTCC with your link and got 30 USDT. Awesome. Yeah, you know, and it has other steps for other things. Kind of got like a little roadmap of other bonuses you can get. But I do appreciate that, Joshua Joseph. Papa Pan says, great show. Thank you for the free insight. Or the insight, not free insight. It is free insight. All right. River, been a while, man. Good to see you, brother. Been a while. All we need now is Blackwood in the house. Hopefully Blackwood's doing good. All right. Maxi used BTCC link and funded my account. Thank you. I do appreciate that. Again, shout out to Squidward, a.k.a. Edward Vincent. And Rue White says, Rue White? What the heck? I made 38K on trade on BTC leverage trading. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, exactly. I remember how excited you were and so on. You really killing it with that. So let us know. Do you also follow All the Money by Q? Sean, welcome from Seattle, class of 1988. Awesome. I've gone to Seattle quite a few times because I'm originally from Portland, Oregon. Team spirit with a female voice. Whoa, you and Rue are appreciated. Thank you. Oh, man, I appreciate you just being here, brother. So thank you for that. And I used to go to Seattle every summer, so that was a while back. Anyway, you're back. Good. You're on the wrong name? Yeah. Oh, you're on the wrong name, huh? All right. Let's read this. Struggling about jumping into ZBEC for some more right now during this pump, but probably buy and wake up tomorrow and it's back. That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, you know, just always pay close attention to what's on sale. What I mean by this, guys, it's a free thing to do. Let me just point this out real quick. So I want to share this on the screen. In my opinion, everybody should have like a free account with, I don't know why this is taking forever to load up, but you should have a free account. The browser can't access your screen. That's weird. All right, well, I don't know what's going on with that. But anyway, you make yourself a free account with CMC, okay? And then you could add these cryptos to your favorites. And then you track, you know, look for things like when was the all-time high? When was the all-time low? Do we have a case of all-time lows were very recent? Or was it close to being almost all-time lows? The answer is yes. ZBEC almost hit all-time lows. All right, it was 3070. All right, so think about that. Like I myself, I took advantage of that. About like another, I don't know, 1.3 million ZBEC. I have my goals on ZBEC. We all have different goals. It's not a you know what measuring contest. But yeah, I always recognize what ones may be close to all-time lows. That's the time to buy. In my opinion, it's not the time to buy when everything is a huge pump. But then find, you know, pay attention to the channels that cover like, well, you know, here's where real legitimate support is and so on, because are we going to go in another direction? Again, you're going to have to make that decision for yourself, but I took advantage of it and I was glad that I did. All right, let's see here. You're bullish on CBCN. Cool. Yeah, those pairs are fire. Thank you, Roman. I do appreciate that, man. All right, when did that happen? QT is a hidden integration flow weapon for ISO 222. Thanks for deep dives. I feel forward. Well, I appreciate that. I don't know if you're referring to somebody else earlier, but that's okay. X marks the spot. By the way, Max, your channel is so vibrant and positive. Thanks, man. Or Thanks, X. I do appreciate that. We're doing well. 544 on X, 123 on YouTube. So it's been a while since the show. So you guys rock. So I have to copy trade all the money. Awesome. Yeah. I mean, 90% success ratio. That's actually what I'm doing in that regard. So, and here he is, Michael Golpe. Follow this brother. Actually, we're just gonna do it right now. I'm telling you flat out, just do it. Do it. Go ahead and follow Michael Golpe. But Max, I got a headache. I don't have a headache. Well, maybe it's a tumor. It's not a tumor. All right. Michael Golpe is not a tumor, but we are going to pull up his channel if this thing will ever load up. I don't know what's going on. I think there's something going on. A lot of people in this area doing some things. Michael Golpe. Let's pull that up. And what do we have from Mr. Golpe? And that is how to pronounce it. I did ask him how to pronounce his name. So if you guys are wondering. All right. So here he is. And yes, go follow Michael Golpe. Really, go do it now. Get used to seeing him because, guys, gals, everybody, there's a few people I network with. So you wonder who I network with. Obviously, Will Fix. Obviously, Rue Black. Channing Harrell. Underdog of the Underdog Research Channel, right? Who's a real-life forensics guy. How cool is that? And, of course, there's Michael Golpe. There's Adam of Ira Finance. These are the people that I network with and so on. And they bring you lots of great info with research, deep dives, you name it. Some specializes in doing charts, like Adam does charts, Rue does charts. Also, shout out to Crypto Future 99, right? Rob. So check out some of the channels. But yeah, here's the new guy, right? You shouldn't say the new guy, but you are kind of new. Check out his channel. He gives great perspectives, and you go on a journey with him, right? This whole thing is a journey. Go on the journey with him, you know, and check this out. Does this guy not look like he's like an ex-Wall Street guy or something, like a big business guru? He does, right? So here's some of his most recent videos. I did a collab with him, right? You recognize some of those thumbnails. But you know what? He'll share some things with you, open your eyes up to some things you might not be aware of. So everybody brings their own value. I bring my own, you know, value to what I do. But check out some of these guys and, you know, looking to do more collaborations with them and so on. So big shout out to Michael Golpe. Love this brother. You know, he's awesome. Absolutely awesome. All right, we're going to read a few more comments. We're going to keep his page up for just a brief moment. And let's see what else we got. Great show. We're not even done. But yes, thank you. Appreciate that. You're very welcome. All right. But yeah, thank you, Libby. Everybody welcome Libby. Boom. When did the whale move 25 million QNT? So some people are wondering, is it really a whale? And, you know, it seems as though it might just be like institutional wallets, because sometimes what we don't realize is the big institutions are not going to come out and say, hey, this is us. But this was a few months back when they moved all this. And there's been some more movement lately. And some people are thinking, well, is this why QNT is up? Could very well be. But for me, like, again, Dr. Denise, the way I look at it is, well, let me pull this off for a second. Bottom line is this. If I'm doing things like going to the BTCC and doing leverage trading, again, that in itself, if you don't know what you're doing, is scary. Not financial advice. Please, by all means, don't get wrecked. But you can create stop losses. You can create a demo. You can, again, follow all the money by Q, 90% success ratio. But when you see people like Sebastian uses, Sebastian, if you guys are wondering who he is, Tuesdays we do these X spaces. It used to be every week. Now it's every other week because, again, our schedules and work and so on. So he uses actually Chainstats, and he discovers some of these key things about like some of this Coinbase 10 wallet movement. Why are they doing this? I think there's something big coming up because the mandates that are coming out. I think these institutions are getting themselves primed and ready. For a lot of people who don't follow this stuff, they're like, oh, yeah, QNT garbage. All this stuff is garbage. It's not doing anything. Because it's what's been built, right? We don't have, and I know I use this term a lot, maybe you get tired of hearing it, the full utility has not been put into motion. We're not even close to mass adoption. We're not a mass adoption at all, right? But there'll be so many people, let's face it. And I have friends, personal friends that have done this, where they FOMO into it after it already proven itself. To me, nah, that's not the way to go about it. So shout out to you guys that understand that. And that's the difference. The difference is accumulating at low prices, obviously, and then, you know, holding on to some of these things. But at the same time, there is money to be made here, for real. There really, really is. Some of these guys, Will Fix, Michael Cornwell, you guys know who you are. You're making money daily. You know, that's the way I look at it. I've always wanted to start making some of this money daily. All right. But again, understand your risk tolerance. Don't do anything crazy. And if you're wondering, like, well, I don't know if I want to mess around with that kind of stuff. Hey, I respect that. There's a demo. Remember when you're a kid and you heard your homeroom teacher say, hey, you know, stocks, for example, back in the day. I remember, shout out to my 8th grade teacher, one of my favorite ones, Mr. Dickinson. He always told us, he was like, kids, you know, you could test out the stock market with the demo account. Why shouldn't we apply that to like things like with crypto and so on? So again, BTCC, you can do that. You can get Jasmy there, XRP, XLM. You can't get XDC there. So if you want XDC, you can go with Uphold. I do have a link in the description for that. Whatever the case be, get yourself decent wallet if you haven't got one already. There's significant discounts in the description. Again, move it off there. Swap it to whatever you want. It's all there at your disposal. You're very welcome. All right, let's do this. We're going to recognize that some of you guys subscribe to Michael Golpe. I do appreciate that. And what we're going to do now is simply see if I didn't miss anything on the other screen. I think I did not, so I'm happy I did not. And let's see what we got. All right, so what we're going to do now is jump into this next part. You know the drill, because I don't know, some of you guys like the tunes. We got 676 on the live combined on YouTube and X. X going to give it to you. Let's go ahead and pull this up. And what one will be the magic tune? Well, we have quite a few things, but I think, if anything, we're going to go with... I like this one. You know, guys, I'll state this. To the day I collapse, I will never stop talking about these ISO-related coins and tokens. I will never stop talking about utility. I'll cover it to the day I collapse. Draw your own conclusion with that. Here we go. This is for all you guys that have been weathering the storms of crypto winter and believing in new things to come. This one's for you.
Till the roof comes up, till the lights go up, till my legs give out. Can't shut my mouth.
That's not the music video. Scam! All right, hold on a second. Let me get the right one. That's just a regular file. I want to give you guys a little bit better one than that one. All right, here it goes. Here we go. I apologize.
Till the roof comes up, till the lights go up, till my legs give out. Can't shut my mouth. Till the smoke clears out. Am I high? Perhaps. I'ma rip this shit till my bones collapse.
Till the roof comes off, till the lights go out, till my legs give out, can't shut my mouth, till the smoke clears out. Am I high? Perhaps. I'ma rip this shit till my bones collapse. Till the roof comes off, till the lights go out, till my legs give out, can't shut my mouth, till the smoke clears out. Am I high? Perhaps. I'ma rip this shit till my bones collapse.
Give out from underneath me.
Till I collapse, I'm spilling these raps long as you feel them. Till the day that I drop, you'll never say that I'm not killing them. 'Cause when I am not, then I'ma stop pinning them. And I am not hip-hop, and I'm just not Eminem. Subliminal thoughts when I'ma stop sending them. Women are caught in webs, spin them in hawk venom. Adrenaline shots of penicillin could not get the illing to stop. Amoxicillin's just not real enough. The criminal cop killing hip hop villain, a minimal swap to cop millions of POC listeners. You're coming with me, feel it or not, you're gonna fear it like I showed you. The Spirit of God lives in us. You hear it a lot, lyrics to shock. Is it a miracle or am I just product of pop fizzing up? Fashizzle my whizzle, this is the plot, listen up. Till the roof comes off, till the lights go out, till my legs give out, can't shut my mouth, till the smoke clears out. Am I high? Perhaps. I'ma rip this shit till my bones collapse. Comes off, till the lights go out, till my legs give out, can't shut my mouth, till the smoke clears out. Am I high? Perhaps. I'ma rip this shit till my bones collapse. Till the roof comes off, till the lights go out.
All right, let's jump into what we have. So what we have here is this announcement, and I think it's a huge announcement. It's from Gilbert Verdian. This is the Q&T segment, and then after that is going to be the big whopper of them all, which is obviously the Jasmy one. But I do want to get into this just for a brief moment. So again, consider smashing that like if you haven't done so already. Let's get into it. Gilbert Verdian came out with this pretty recent. What is it all about? Well, he says, as Layer 1 blockchains mature and evolve, incorporating new functionalities and features such as verifiable credentials, zero-knowledge proofs, and novel consensus mechanisms, which public blockchains stand out and are the fastest in terms of TPS. Now, I get it. A lot of people, especially from the BSV community, are going to say, it's us. And they're going to pound their chests like they're Kong, to say the least, right? And rightfully so. I'm a big advocate of BSV. I don't focus on the whole thing of Satoshi and, Craig Wright and whatnot. I focus on the tech, okay? But to see this, I think, is big. And I decided to go further into this because you guys know me. That's the thing I do. As we pull this up, Gilbert Verdian mentioned specifically Qubic, okay? And I covered Qubic maybe a couple times. So I want to give a shout out to Darius Magruder, aka Learn and Evolve. You should follow him if you want some Qubic Alpha. Follow Adam of Vibra Finance. They always bring you guys lots of Qubic. All right. So the other thing that I covered quite a bit is Red Belly. And of course, they have their own token and so on. I'll be honest, I think their tokenomics suck. I don't know about that. I don't know. So again, they got some things going on, maybe turn around, but their tokenomics, wow. Again, look into that yourself if you choose to do so. But whatever the case be, what stands out here is Qubic. Also, some of you guys are on ICP. Dfinity was also tagged here. Cardano was tagged here, and obviously Solana. But what stood out for me was Qubic. So before we get to the Qubic part, look at this. It says, why does this matter? Of course, from Gilbert. And again, this was posted today, May 2nd. All right, so if you get the chopped up version, it might be a little bit later. So industry has been trying to move away from T+5 plus T+3 T2 settlement in capital and financial markets for decades. As capital markets transition to on-chain transactions and volumes surpass traditional finance, blockchains, or fast ones, offer institutions the ability to achieve instantaneous atomic T+0 settlement and finality. Now, here's the bottom line. This is how we connect things like our brother Smoke in the community. I'm telling you that this is flat out probably one of the best parts of this segment. I know we're going to get the Jasmy part, which is awesome. You don't want to dismiss this. Seriously, listen to what Smoke has. We're going to connect it all and why it makes so much sense. Smoke points out that multi-bank networks being put forth by the private sector will become the dominant force for cross-border payments using tokenized securities by 2030. Remember how Gilbert mentioned settlement? So bank consortiums are already piloting new settlement systems and testing ways to exchange tokenized currencies, of course, in common ledgers. Now, this is all coming together, the convergence, right? But multi-bank networks, like it says here, let me pull that up on the other screen. Multi-bank networks being put forth by the private sector could become the predominant Venue, again, Venue, think about that, for cross-border payments using tokenized currencies by 2030. These banks are likely to leverage, think about that term, or converge, I should say, on shared networks when global regulators establish clear frameworks for the use of digital assets. A lot of you guys are getting impatient. I get it, but you're really getting impatient with this. You're like, I'm not seeing any huge price movement now. Again, I am still sticking to my guns. Regulations will be the key enabler to turbocharge it. I think regulations, was put into layman's terms, regulations is literally crypto nitrous, right? You know, Michael Cornwell used this analogy. It's a great analogy. You have your race car that's on the track, right? You build it. You went through all this trouble of like, my God, it's got, you know, I'm just going to use this crazy analogy. 1,500 horsepower, and it's got like all the bells and whistles, and this sucker will do, you know, 0 to 60 in, I know this is an exaggeration, you know, like 2.5 seconds flat, right? Wow. Okay. Has it raced anybody? No. Has it performed yet? No, not really. Did anybody come out to see it? Like on a national stage? No. Who saw it? I don't know, a couple people in the bleachers and the people put together. That's the bottom line. It's not off to the races yet. As we get further into this, I want to point out some other things from our brother in community, Smoke. Because again, when you understand it all, the big picture, this matches up with the statements from Gilbert Verdian. How so? Well, ISO 222 revolutionizing trade payments with instant settlement via API and digital assets. ISO 222, pointed out here, is a data-rich and interoperable universal messaging format set to replace the legacy message text MT, right, with MX. That, of course, dates back to July 11, 2023, but Smoke pounds at home that much more, even recently on March 16th. Of course, Jetpack responded to it. There's this cool shout out to Jetpack Joe. All right, now, here's your bombshell. Remember how Gilbert mentioned specifically this? I'll jump back to it. About what are the fastest in terms of TPS? This is something that I don't think people are aware of. This is a bold statement. Bold is all you know what. To hear the statements from Qubic about how they specifically are what? They're the fastest blockchain ever. Give me a break. Really? Well, Qubic, fastest blockchain ever verified on mainnet, not testnet. I'll repeat it again. Not testnet. Mainnet. That's a huge deal. How so? Well, this was verified by Certic. And am I just going to state it because they stated it? I mean, some people are like, you know, gave me criticism in the past when I covered BSV. They're like, Terranode, this is a case of trust me, bro. Okay, I understand. I heard you in the comments. But the statement of 15.5 million TPS, I mean, currently speaking, that would even blow Terranode away. Now, we know that Terranode can even scale up higher than that, and it might reign supreme. I am not dismissing BSV by any stretch of the imagination. But when we talk about low market cap gems, this might very well be one of the most slept on ones out there. And I know sometimes people don't want me to keep talking about other coins and tokens because we can't own everything. Hey, trust me, I get that. I'm with you, right? Not all of us, you know, just have like tons of money to throw at some of this stuff. Again, it's not financial advice, but I think it's worth pointing out because, again, when we get into this, it points out 15.5 million TPS certified by Certec, and it mentions some key things here. Because, again, oracles. So Qubic oracles will connect the real world with smart contracts and AI GARS or AGARS AI models. Forget fees and delays. Okay, so people like that. Qubic is the fastest ever Certic verified blockchain with a peak of transactions per second of 15.52 million. I'm going to show you this. I ain't definitely going to show you this. So they have performance indicators and so on to talk about this. So, for example, 3, 6, 9, that's 1.5 billion transactions. And again, 15 million. My God, I mean, that's really, really something, right? Okay, so this is the peak. All right, so what do we have in regards to documentation about this? Well, again, you guys know me. I'm going to try to verify it. If you want, I'll put this into the comments. Go to here. Download it for yourself. All right? Or you can just go to Qubic's site and download the PDF. Okay? So it's the Certic 2025 test results for Qubic with Certic on mainnet. April 2025 report. All right, let's go into this. On page 13, 33 from the performance analyst final report, it shows during the test net on mainnet, the highest average TPS reached 2.64 million, while the peak tick TPS achieved 15.52 million. My goodness gracious, great balls of fire. The detailed experimental results data can be found in the appendix. Get further down into it, it shows some of this. Okay? So again, I want to point this out that when you see the figures here, this is just absolutely huge. And even in the test, because some of you guys are like, well, I want to see where it shows like in the code. Well, it's going to be hard to kind of blow that up, but you do see here the summary of the statistics, the comparative analysis, and again, like how long it took and the duration. It's an actual detailed report. I would challenge you to actually take the liberty and verify it for yourself. And as you see here, max tick TPS, I don't know, I was trying to highlight that specifically, but you see it. This tells me that Qubic, for one, is extremely slept on. Yeah, it has a big supply, but we talked about some of these things with, Adam covered this and so on. Like that real supply is not what you think it is. So they also have burns, apparently, if I'm not mistaken. So it's interesting to see this the performance of this. So, I mean, I have to admit, based off of what's on the surface, this is the leader in the fastest TPS until it's not. All right. So 15.52 million. My goodness. All right. Do we have examples from the dev team? We do. I found this video for you guys 9 days ago. So it says translated versions, but whatever the case be, technical leaders from Certic, Qubic Core Tech, as a deep dive into the results of that performance audit of the groundbreaking 15.52 million transactions per second. We're going to play a little bit of this, and then we're going to come back, hear it from them. Don't hear it from me. Smash that like if you appreciate some Quant connected to some Qubic info. Here we go. For some reason, you guys said you can't hear it, so hold on a second. Yeah, I apologize. I double checked. We're gonna play this again. Sorry about that. I know what the issue was. It was double sharing for some reason. Some stupid thing with StreamYard. I swear. Sometimes it's not a perfect platform. All right, I'm gonna play this one more time. I'm sure you're gonna be able to hear. I'll double check on the screen. And here we go.
Okay, great. Well, hello everyone, and thanks for joining me. I have a very technical group of speakers here today. I have folks representing Certic, and I also have Joe Tum, who joins us, who is one of many of the CTOs of the Qubic network. One of the great things about Qubic is we have many different roles and many different hats and many different CTOs. And today, though, specifically, we're going to be talking about a speed test we did with Certic. I'm going to actually start off with the Certic folks. If you could just tell us a little bit about Certic and the methodologies that you use for performance speed testing, that'd be a great start.
So Certic, we're the leading Web3 smart contract auditor. We provide a comprehensive suite of services such as security audits, L1 chain audits, penetration testing, team verification, bug bounties, incident response, and so on. And Ming, you can tell us a little bit about the methodology used for the performance test.
Okay, I will hand over to this part about the methodology we conduct the performance analysis over the Qubic layer 1 blockchain mainnet. It starts from February the 12th to the April the 1st, and we focused on the about the below 4 parts. First, we evaluating high volume transaction handling, and then we measuring throughput, response time, and latency about the network. Then we will determine the average and maximum TPS for this work, and we have also performance stress testing under sustained and redundant nodes on the work to evaluate and to make the optimal performance result from this work. And about the approach, we first initial testing on the Qubic testnet to establish some benchmarks. Then we can evaluate how to proceed on the mainnet. And then we will follow to take the final evaluation on the mainnet. It's based on a custom testing framework built around Qubic CRI, enabling the real-time tick and the TPS monitoring, and also a single instance sequential and stochastic stress in testing. And we have also obtained the detailed log and the telemetry output with per tick TPS breakdowns. After that, we have set up the tool chain for this performance analysis. Yeah, I think this is the methodology we conduct over the Qubic layer 1 blockchain mainnet.
Very cool. So actually, I'd like to get into the findings because I think that's what everyone wants to hear. And then I'm going to pass it over to Joe Tom to talk about why he thinks this research is so important and what it unlocks for Qubic. But Ming, do you want to discuss the findings?
Yeah, we have taken for example, for the 5 minutes test duration over the Qubic layer 1 mainnet, and we can find the result that the peak TPS reached to about 15 million per tick, and this is the TPS of the peak that we can see as a high record on this industry. And the average TPS is also very high. It's reached to up to 2 million TPS. Yeah, and we have performed the transfer during this 5 minutes. It's reached about 782 millions of transfers during these 5 minutes. Yes, I think these results make a solid proof to this record.
All right, so you're welcome to see the rest of this interview. The lady from that point on, she says the fastest in history. What does it all mean from there? You kind of get the gist of it, but wow, I mean, Qubic takes the cake at the moment. That's huge moving forward. And of course, if you looked into, Qubic, very, very low in market cap and so on. So, huge potential there to say the least. So I might cover Qubic a little bit more, but there's so many things to cover, right? All right. What we're going to do now is basically share just a tad bit more. I want to just kind of connect the last part of this. So I found this interesting because, Gilbert Verdian was talking about, he mentioned Qubic, obviously. So when I did a search, I was like, I wonder if Qubic's part of ISO TC 307. Well, it's not, but here was the only thing I came up with. This person named Danuver Cabeza's post, intelligent artificial, blockchain, for example. there's a mention here about ISO TC307. And sometimes when you go to some of these people's profiles, things get wiped or edited. Well, the answer is yes. Because when you go right here, it says it's edited. This post from over a year ago says edited. Interesting. Why would she do this? Well, when I jump down to this part, it says Qubic, a project that integrates AI and blockchain technologies, recently held at that time first global meeting of the Qubic community in Madrid. The event brought together leading experts. When you get further down to all, it talks about AI. Well, it talks about this part towards the bottom. It says specifically highlighting the importance of decentralized AI to counter the dominance of the top 10 companies. Now think about this for a moment. Goes on to also mention the whole thing of specifically doing the thing of, countering the dominance. So these companies currently control 80% of the AI market. In contrast to centralized AI models, Fernandez clarified Qubic's goal of changing the paradigm with distributed AI. Qubic began to take shape 12 years ago under the guidance of Sergey Ivan Cheglo, a key figure in the development of NXT and IOTA. I think, personally, that this is the plug to your Quant, if you will. Why Gilbert Verdian is mentioning some of these key things. We might not see it at the time being, but he didn't have to mention them at all. We have to respect there's things about NDAs and so on. Here's where it gets kind of somewhat juicy. I asked Grok to kind of help me out with this because at the end of the day, why not use tools to make it a lot more simpler? I mean, I don't want to spend 24/7, 365 researching everything. It may seem like that, but not true. In the search, look at this. Qubic's potential involvement with ISO TC307, it says collaborates with various organizations and projects to shape blockchain standards, while Qubic's parent, IOTA, is a prominent DLT project. There is no explicit mention into the sources of IOTA or Qubic as members or contributors to ISO TC307, but for comparison, organizations like LTO Network are noted as contributors to TC307. While there's no such reference exists for Qubic, it's possible that Qubic technology aligns with TC307's goals for obviously interoperability. Now, here's the bottom line. Based on available information, Qubic is not explicitly part of ISO TC307, but if Gilbert Verdian mentioned Qubic, it might reflect interest in its technology or potential relevance to interoperability discussions, but no formal connection is documented. So, I mean, some people point out, well, that's just a little bit of the speculation. I mean, yes, no, and so on. But you have to keep in mind, I think that is a big deal because we know based off of we know based off of what we gathered in the past, when you look at Quant Network with the Overledger, you do have the interoperability with IOTA. You do have some interoperability with some of these other key ones and so on. So I think that's always worth noting, to say the least. And I think I actually have the reference. I lost it off the screen. I'm going to pull it back up. Here was the icing on the cake, just in case you were wondering about this. So I didn't make close out. I was highlighting Michael Golpe's channel, and I lost the reference. I will pull that back up because when I chop this up, it'll be nice to see the reference. So just in case you're wondering, does Gilbert Verdian ever mention IOTA specifically? And yes, here's the answer. As I would always mention, boil it, mash it, stick it in a stew. Here is the reference. Only one time has he ever mentioned IOTA specifically. It dates back to October 8th of 2018, and here's how we verify the possibility of Quant and IOTA. Come join us, at least then, in London. Learn how Overledger gives enterprises choice, flexibility, resilience to simultaneously use multiple blockchains, existing networks without limitations. He has connected Ethereum, Ripple, Hyperledger, I should say he as in Quant Network, Bitcoin, and IOTA, and JP Morgan Quorum. Okay, so there's your answer. So to see this connection, obviously, with apparently IOTA is the culprit of Qubic. There you go. I think that's the answer. That's why he mentioned some of these things. So I think there's going to be other things that are going to come out about this. Obviously, we'll pay attention to that and so on. That concludes the coverage that we have on X's, coverages about the whole thing of QNT, so on and so forth. I'm going to go ahead and remove that from the screen. I'm going to basically just read just a few comments, and then I'm going to kick it into the moment you've been waiting for, the big deep dive, which is, in my opinion, the whopper of them all, the whole thing of Jasmy. And yeah, we're going to get into that in here in just a bit. Yep. Thank you, Michael. If you had 1,000, which one crypto would you invest in? It just depends, man, because, you know, okay, I'll give you somewhat of an answer. Okay. So I did ZBEC. It's not financial advice. I did that because the price of it at the time was almost at all-time lows. I like buying things that I believe in and have researched when it's close to like all-time lows. That's when you get the gains. Like right as a result, that changed my DCA. So as a result, I'm up over 88% overall in my bag instead of being at a negative. Originally, I was at a negative because I came in at ZBEC and I originally bought like a little over $1 million at 1.5 cents, I think it was. But then, you know, I had a few back to truck up moments. So that's what you should base your things off of. Again, if you've done more of your own research, I wouldn't FOMO into anything, but always pay attention to the dynamics of any coin or token based off of what was the previous all-time highs, how long ago was that, you know, the all-time lows, et cetera, et cetera. Does it have use case? But anyway, hopefully that gives you kind of an idea. And then, of course, I added up even, you know, I think I added like another 8.5 quant to the mix too, which I always DCA into QNT every month. All right, so we're going to do now. Yeah, JP Moron sounded better. All right, so we're going to do now is kind of give you the moment you've been waiting for. Some of you guys have seen this. There's a little bit of language. I'm going to be honest with that, but, you know, Binance kind of messed up what they did, to say, to put it lightly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this. There's going to be 2 ones. So this is my latest in regards to the Jasmy AI music video, whatever. It's kind of a fun thing. Shout out to Neo X Tricks for some of the visuals. And is Jasmy a masterpiece in the making? Here's the tale of the Jasmy ninjas. We're going to get into the meat and potatoes after that. And again, big shout out to Michael Golpe for the collab. Here we go.
Ain't so hard, ninjas wanna find thee. Find me, but first ninjas gotta find me. What's 50 grand to a ninja like me? Can you please remind me? Train so hard, this stuff crazy. Y'all don't know that don't stuff faze me. The nets could go 0 for 82, and I'd look at you like this stuff gravy. Train so hard, this stuff weird. We ain't even supposed to be here. Since we here, it's only right that we'd be fair. Psycho, I'm liable to go Myco. Take your pick, Jackson, Tyson, Jordan, gang sing. Train so hard, got a broke clock. Rollies that don't tick-tock. Mars that's losing time, hidden behind all these big rocks. Train so hard, I'm shocked too. I'm supposed to be locked up too. You escaped what I escaped. You'd be in Paris, training hard too. Train so hard, ninjas wanna find me.
All right, kind of a cool little thing to share with you guys. All right, listening, everybody, please listen up. For real, you may be sidetracked with so many different things out there, and that's okay. If anything, I might miss the basketball game, but that's all right too. I can always watch the replay. I want to tell you guys something. You may have been aware of Jasmy. You might hold Jasmy. You may, I don't know, consider like you're not even into it, and you're thinking, I don't know about that thing. I've heard about it and whatnot. I would not make this statement unless I really, really meant it. Of all the research I've ever done on Jasmy, this one has to take the cake. I am so proud to have shared this. You're going to see in this video, this is the most passionate I've ever been about any project. I know a lot of research about QNT and whatnot, but on this one with Jasmy, like you will see it come out in my voice, plain as day. So for one, shout out to Michael Golpe. I apologize, he didn't get a lot of chance to speak, but it's okay. He was, kind of riding along, learning some things too. Make time for this. If you got outside distractions, come back to this. If you missed this live video, there will be a recorded one, which is the one you're about to see, to a sense, shown to you at 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Pacific tomorrow morning. Okay? So, of course, that'll be primed and ready to go. This will be without any commercials whatsoever. If you appreciate the content, again, I'm not making requests for super chats or any of that stuff, but it is appreciated if you can. If you want to say that to buy Jasmy, then by all means do so. If you really want to help me out, you can't make like a, donation, super chat or whatever, that's fine too. You could actually help me out just by doing this. Seriously, and get yourself $10 in USDT, and I believe there's a bonus of 30 if you make a deposit. You can get Jasmy over at BTCC, and for some of you guys are like, I don't want an FTX situation. I get that. All you got to do is swap that and send it right directly to a cold storage solution, which would be the Decent wallet. Links are in the description for that discount of the Decent wallet. Obviously, if you get 2 wallets, you save even that much more money. All right, moment you've been waiting for. Let's jump into it all. And I'm telling you flat out, just watch, learn, and listen. I'm so proud, I really mean this, to have covered Jasmy for as long as I did. I may not come up with material every single day and every week like I used to, but this will speak for itself. We're going to get into this, and let me just load it up on the screen real quick. Man, oh man, oh man, oh man. Michael Golpe, I don't know if you're still here, my friend, but I was so glad to have covered this with you, and I really, really mean that. So let me get this primed and ready. We're going to play it from the start. Yeah, what's coming to Jasmy in 2025 will blow your mind. A new update. Here we go. Everybody, this is the second time I brought you this type of material in 2025. So if you're familiar with my platform, you saw some of that bombshell discovery. This, in my opinion, with the research, is the biggest, most major Jasmy news going into the mid part of 2025. This is a bombshell discovery. I know a lot of you guys click out of these videos roughly around 6 to 8 minutes. If anything, hit pause button. Come back. If you're not into Jasmy, consider coming back and watching this outline to the very end of this video. I swear, you owe it to yourself to listen to this research that we're providing to you from myself and Michael Golpe. I call it a call to action. But whatever the case be, if you want to jump around, you're welcome to do so. There are chapters in the description of this video on both channels. Before we start, take advantage of getting yourself some free USDT with a QR code that's literally above the picture frame on this video. Why? Well, it's BTCC. They offer Jasmy, they offer XRP, XLM, so on and so forth. Take advantage of that. And if you want to leverage trade, that's on you. I get it. Not for everybody, but check it out, whatever the case be, because you do up to 500x leverage if you choose to do so. But again, got to know what you're doing. So use your own discretion. Do more of your own research if that is for you. But the options are there. If you have problems with that QR code, there are links in the description. All right. consider smashing that like. Again, another disclaimer, if you are a regular, consider becoming a subscriber. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of why you're here today for this deep dive outline on Jasmy, because it's been a while since I've done a Jasmy deep dive, maybe a few weeks, not like what you're used to, but whatever the case be, let's get into it. First thing we're going to do is play this video. I want to give a shout out to, his name is Jesus Oil, or it might be Jesus Oil. Jesus is my Lord and personal Savior, so if it is Jesus, that's awesome. Kudos to you. He brought me some research that was awesome. So I do want to give some credit to this platform. The platform is referred to as Tesla Edge, okay? And basically speaking, you might be familiar with this guy. We're going to play some key segments from this, from Tesla Edge. So we're just going to pull that up. And then after that, we're going to get into some key areas of why it all matters. Please listen to this first part. I promise you we'll connect all the key things in this video. So if you're already seeing this, maybe on a Bloomberg video or Fox Business or CNBC, you're welcome to skip past it and get to the meat and potatoes of the research. But let's go ahead and get into this. Here it is.
If managing your crypto feels like solving a puzzle, it's time to switch to Decent Wallet. It's just a few taps. You can manage, track, and secure your crypto with unmatched ease. And here's the best part. Grab your Decent Wallet at a discounted price by using the referral link below. Don't miss out on making your crypto experience smoother and more secure.
NVIDIA just dropped a game changer. CEO Jensen Huang says their new AI chip and platform aren't just about faster computers. They're built to completely change how full self-driving works. For years, NVIDIA focused on powering huge data centers. But now, they're taking everything they've learned and pushing it into the real world, into cars, factories, and everyday tools. In this video, we're breaking down how NVIDIA's latest chip, combined with a surprising partnership, is setting the stage for the next big leap in full self-driving. And why Jensen Huang says this is only the beginning.
Two dynamics is happening at the same time. The first dynamic is that the vast majority of that growth is likely to be accelerated. Meaning, we've known for some time that general purpose computing has run its course, and that we need a new computing approach. And the world is going through a platform shift from hand-coded software running on general purpose computers to machine learning software running on accelerators and GPUs. This way of doing computation is at this point past this tipping point. And we are now seeing the inflection point happening, the inflection happening in the world's data center buildouts. So the first thing is a transition in the way we do computing. Second is an increase in recognition that the future of software requires capital investment. Now, this is a very big idea. Whereas in the past, we wrote the software and we ran it on computers, in the future, the computer is going to generate the tokens for the software. And so the computer has become a generator of tokens, not a retrieval of files. From retrieval-based computing to generative-based computing, from the old way of doing data centers to a new way of building these infrastructure, and I call them AI factories. They're AI factories because it has one job and one job only, generating these incredible tokens that we then reconstitute into music, into words, into videos, into research, into chemicals or proteins. We reconstitute it into all kinds of information of different types. So the world is going through a transition in not just the amount of data centers that will be built, but also how it's built.
Jensen Huang made it clear. NVIDIA is no longer operating as a chip company. It's become an AI infrastructure giant.
AI in all three areas. AI for manufacturing, so they can revolutionize the way they manufacture. AI for enterprise, so they can revolutionize the way they work, design cars and simulate cars, and then also AI for in the car. So I'm super excited about that. One of the areas that I'm deeply proud of, and it rarely gets any attention, is safety, automotive safety. It's called halos. In our company, it's called halos. Safety requires technology from silicon to systems, the system software, the algorithms, the methodologies, everything from diversity to ensuring diversity, monitoring and transparency, explainability. All of these different philosophies have to be deeply ingrained into every single part of how you develop the system and the software. We're the first company in the world, I believe, to have every line of code safety assessed. 7 million lines of code safety assessed. Our chip, our system software, and our algorithms are safety assessed by third parties that crawl through every line of code to ensure that it is designed to ensure diversity, transparency, and explainability. Autonomous, 100 million cars built each year, a billion vehicles on the road all over the world, 1 trillion miles that are driven around the world each year. That's all going to be either highly autonomous or, fully autonomous coming up. And so this is going to be a very large industry. I predict that this will likely be the first multi-trillion-dollar robotics industry. This business for us, notice in just a few of these cars that are starting to ramp into the world, our business is already $4 billion, and this year probably on a run rate about $5 billion. So really significant business already. This is going to be very large. Well, today we're announcing that our next generation processor for the car, our next generation computer for the car, is called Thor. I have one right here. Hang on a second. This is Thor. This is a robotics computer. This is a robotics computer. It takes sensors and just a madness amount of sensor information, process it, umpteen cameras, high resolution, radars, lidars, they're all coming into this chip. And this chip has to process all that sensor, turn them into tokens, put them into a transformer, and predict the next path. And this AV computer is now in full production. Thor is 20 times the processing capability of our last generation Orin, which is really the standard of autonomous vehicles today. And so this is just really quite incredible. Thor is in full production. This robotics processor, by the way, also goes into a full robot. And so it could be an AMR, it could be a humanoid robot, it could be the brain, it could be the manipulator. This processor basically is a universal robotics computer. The second part of our drive system that I'm incredibly proud of is the dedication to safety. Drive OS, I'm pleased to announce, is now the first software-defined programmable AI computer that has been certified up to ASIL D, which is the highest standard of functional safety for automobiles, the only and the highest. And so I'm really, really proud of this. ASIL D, ISO 26262. It is the work of some 15,000 engineering years. This is just extraordinary work. And as a result of that, CUDA is now a functional, safe computer. And so if you're building a robot, NVIDIA CUDA, yeah. So now I told you I was going to show you what would we use Omniverse and Cosmos to do in the context of self-driving cars. And today, instead of showing you a whole bunch of videos of cars driving on the road, I'll show you some of that too. But I want to show you how we use the car to reconstruct digital twins automatically using AI and use that capability to train future AI models.
For full self-driving to become a reality, we need more than a smart car. We need an entire AI infrastructure. That's what Jensen Huang is building. NVIDIA is moving fast, and everything they're building points to one direction: full self-driving at scale. With the Thor chip powering vehicles, Cosmos creating virtual roads for AI to train on, and a full-stack approach that blends hardware, simulation, and enterprise tools. They're putting the entire FSD pipeline in one place. Jensen Huang's vision is already in motion. Automakers are signing on. The platforms are live. And the tools are rolling out inside companies like Accenture right now. We're watching the shift from theory to deployment, where AI starts driving real outcomes, on and off the road. Thanks for watching.
Okay. So here's the area of emphasis I want you all to take if you are taking notes. Number 1 is robotics. Number 2 is sensors. Number 3 is radars. And the whole thing of, as you heard Mr. Jensen say, turn into tokens, predict the next path. He also mentions omniverse, and he also mentions full self-driving at scale infrastructure. Think about the terminology here. At scale infrastructure, and he also mentions enterprise tools and platform. Now, with that all said, if you took that in, we're going to get into why this matters. Okay, so Michael posted in his own notes the whole thing about Cosmos, and that's worth pointing out and so on. But again, I want you guys to understand, like we did a previous outline about IOTA. Obviously, we talk about Jasmy here. This gets good. And again, I want to pull up some of the information, because when we do this, you will see in the visual, it's this. And just in case you're new, awesome, this is going to help you out. If you're old school and followed Jasmy for a while, you already know about some of these things. But whatever the case be, I want to share this with you all. As we get into this, this is a citation from onesafe.io. They point out here, the top part, VIO Secure PC, in collaboration with Sony VIO, Jasmy created high-security computers for financial institutions, integrating blockchain and smart guardian for a secure environment. This part, WITS, over there in Japan, they call it VITS, Mobility Service Data Platform. Partnering with Toyota, they created a platform to record tourist data for Hokkaido's autonomous region, supporting Japan's first commercial deployment of autonomous vehicles. All right. That's pretty bullish. And again, you might not know about some of these things, but these partnerships underline Jasmy's commitment to enhancing data security and operational efficiency across sectors, demonstrating their technology's versatility. All right. Now, this is where I want to give a shout out to Jesus Oil, Jesus Oil. Again, I apologize, but where the case be, thank you, brother, because he takes this snippet from our beloved Neo X Tricks in the Jasmy community, and he points out this, and that basically is, the government strongly encourages the integration of blockchain into administrative and financial services. It will play a crucial role in managing public subsidies, cybersecurity, and budget tracking. In this regard, companies such as Accenture, Sony Global Education, and Microsoft have collaborated with the authorities to develop suitable solutions. All right, what else? Well, it's this. It mentions this. We knew that, for example, you saw Mr. Jensen talk about ISO 26262 in the automotive field. Well, that leverages and boil it, mash it, stick it, and stew VIT's experience in embedded software. Aha. Hopefully that caught your attention, because this includes automotive, robotics, and medical devices. Interesting. Beyond development, the lab also sets up virtual simulation environments such as autonomous vehicle simulators to test technologies under the realistic conditions. It's a hands-on experimentation space that connects AI, IoT, blockchain, cybersecurity, and embedded development, all aimed at building a future society where technology is designed to be safe and, of course, trustworthy. Interesting. All right. Now, here's where it gets really good. Because you know how we talked about the whole thing of, for example, Chainlink and Jasmy? And obviously, Jasmy chose Chainlink for interoperability. Well, here's the plug to Accenture. And why point this out? Well, I realized that this guy took it with a screenshot, possibly his phone. It's a little bit blurry. Again, that's not on my end, but I apologize. It says US 105-365-37B1 United States patent. The current assignee, as you see here, as I zoom in just a tad bit more, is Accenture Global Solutions. And on the left side, it mentions specifically about a multi-source deterministic Oracle management. No, I'm not talking about Oracle as in Oracle that's connected to, for to many things like Quant and so on with the partnership. But, let's face it, there's all different forms of Oracle. And Chainlink has always been the one that's referred to as the king of oracles. So in the abstract, in the pink highlights, it mentions a master oracle may receive an oracle network identifier, so on and so forth. Middle part, master oracle may digitally sign the agreed or aggregated, data message, private key. Master key oracle may transmit the aggregated data message to the participating node of a distributed ledger. And does it say network? It does. Check mark. All right, very cool. What about the anticipated expiration of this? Not until 2029. Is it still active? Yes. Check mark. All right, let's get to the next part of this. Here is where it gets interesting. I expanded on this research. When I looked up that patent, it connected me to this, US 107-89590B2. What do we have? It mentions this in the underlying tech, Internet of Things. Interesting to see how that all comes together. And more importantly, again, why I point out, well, does this match up with engineering and computer science? Yes. Left side. Does it match up with health and medical sciences? Yes. Check mark. What about the right side? Stats, active. What about expiring many years to come from now? Yes. Check mark. 2038. Interesting. All right. Just a tad bit more before we kick it over to Michael. Here is NeoX Tricks. Shout out to you, brother. I'm going to be messaging you with the next day or so on a DM. He says Tadashi Morita, and I've also pointed out this numerous times in deep dives, is the one who developed the fellowship system for Sony and is currently the section chief of cryptography and security advisor within Jasmy. The link below, it has all these inventions for Sony and others. And basically speaking, when you look more into it, here's the highlight. Like it says, Tadashi Morita, who previously developed Felica contactless IC card technology at Sony, joined us in 2020 as a security manager and senior strategist. This is from Sato-san, right? Kazumasa Sato of Jasmy/Sony. It says, we plan to have more excellent engineers and, like it's pointed out here, participate in the future. In addition to platform development, we are also developing hardware that allows users to store data more securely and perform AI analysis. Does that not check mark off what was presented in that video? And boy, do we have even some more to get into that will absolutely blow your mind, to say the least. And this is where I want to bring in the one and only, and I want to introduce him to you all, everybody. Say hello to my brother in the community, Mr. Michael Golpe.
Hello.
Yes. You need to follow this guy and just simply do it. He has a perspective like no other, and I'm so glad to be networked with him. But I want to get some of your thoughts on all that's been mentioned so far with the research, Michael.
Well, of course, the self-driving cars, the AI tech, that's all screaming Internet of Things. The connection with Link, that's huge too. And I think it makes even more sense now to me why Jasmy went ahead with Link. I see a lot coming on here. Lots of connections. I'm seeing the Jasmy IOTA connection. I'm seeing the Jasmy Link connection, and I'm seeing it how it's going around with the big players from the traditional IT space. We are changing over into this new system, and we either got to get it on board or be left behind.
We do need to get on board or get left behind, and that's the whole bottom line when it comes to a lot of these particular technologies. I mean, I know this isn't a Quant video, but even Gilbert Verdian had that call to action as we cited from last year. Let's jump more into this and why it matters for you all. And as we get into it, what else do we have in regard to the major update with the research? Well, it's this. Remember how we talked about Tadashi Morita? This is good stuff, everybody. I want to share this with you all. So what we have here is expanded research. Yes, from myself. Let's get into it. U.S. patent. What do we have? Well, this is US 9547073. It dates back to January 17th of 2017. You see the applicant is Panasonic Corporation, radar device. And who is listed as one of the inventors? Tadashi Morita. As we know, he's done some work with them in the past. But whatever the case be, that is absolutely profound. And what does it specifically mention in regard to it all? Radar device. Wow. How about this? A little bit more about it. If you get into some of the other key things, you see This, the study of application of automotive millimeter wave radar to traffic counter. Institute of Electronics, Information, and Communication Engineers Technical Report of the IEICE. Wow. As we take you further into this outline and why it matters, when we get further into all of it, well, it's a little bit more of that expansion to the patent, because as you see here, does it reference Japan? And it absolutely does. It says this invention is based on Japanese patent application number 2012-062493, filed on March 19, 2012. The content in which the incorporated herein by reference mentions specifically some of these key things. And I think that is big because it mentions the disclosure is useful as a radar device, which improves the accuracy of determining the type of vehicle regardless of the shape of the vehicle. So there's your plug, there's your connect, and again, constant references to radar. You kind of get the gist. All right, as we pull up more about this and why it matters to you, on a Grok search, it says, basically speaking, in regard to NVIDIA and Jasmy, would we have an overlap? And in my opinion, this is a bombshell from even Grok. Ecosystem overlaps and indirect connections. Several indirect connections suggest an ecosystem overlap. Japan's AI infrastructure, Japan's government is collaborating, as we know, with NVIDIA to develop a generative AI infrastructure certified by the Ministry of Economy, Trade, and Industry. Jasmy, yes, it mentions Jasmy and NVIDIA collaboration. Hype sparks, but given Jensen's focus, which we know that's the layer 2 solution for Jasmy, AI times deepen, has a focus on AI and its Japanese origin. It could benefit from the national initiative, but this is not a direct connection with NVIDIA. However, we know that there's some interesting things here, and especially where there's deep link and so on. And while it's not confirmed, understand the whole thing of NDAs. As we take you further into why you're paying attention to this, even on a search, when we talk about Panasonic, because we know about Panasonic's connection to Jasmy with a direct partnership, which has been fully verified and confirmed from both, obviously, Jasmy and Panasonic. Well, this comes from IoT Evolution World. On that search, you see Panasonic sells semiconductor patents to Yland subsidiary. Microsoft Azure will host NVIDIA Omniverse Cloud and NVIDIA DGX Cloud for supercharged enterprise solutions. Remember back to the whole thing what Jensen was talking about? This matches up. Check mark. Number 2, AI in business. CES 2023 AI roadmap. AMD AI chips. NVIDIA Omniverse. Check once again in regard to Amazon and Panasonic collaborating to integrate Alexa into Panasonic skip gen in-vehicle infotainment system. Jasmy wants to contribute to the overall bigger picture of what, everybody? Society 5.0 moving forward. A little bit more about this and why you're here, because when you go to IoTEvolutionWorld.com, dating back to 2018, Panasonic sells semiconductor patents to Yland subsidiary. That is a big, big deal to say the least. And on top of that, does it mention anything specific in that regard to what we're talking about? The answer is yes. And we see here, for example, that even though it's confidential, you see lots of references here in regards to PCs, gaming, mobile handsets, and even network and automotive. Check it once again. As we pull up another citation, you see here from AI Business, Amazon Panasonic partner on Alexis for cars. Amazon and Panasonic collaborated, at least at that time, to integrate Alexa into Panasonic skip gen in-vehicle infotainment. Again, just another source to pound it home that much more. And how about this? Just in case you weren't aware of it, NVIDIA has recognized SoftServe as a partner of the year, and it mentions specifically Omniverse platform for working in a virtual environment. For example, SoftServe's clients include IBM, Cisco, and Panasonic. That is major. All right. What about Sony and Panasonic? Well, dating back to 2014, Sony and Panasonic developed new optical storage standard, and that, of course, was referred to as Panasonic Omniverse, which, of course, back in 2024, Sony announced specifically some specific updates. All right, before I kick it back to Michael, I want you to see this for yourself. NVIDIA has recognized SoftServe as a partner of the year, and again, these collaborations with virtual reality and even AI. All right, well, at the end of the day, I think everybody wants to know this, because if I'm going through all of the discoveries, do we have verification from Grok about if Panasonic ever partnered with NVIDIA? And boil it, mash it, stick in a stew. Once again, Panasonic has in fact collaborated with NVIDIA on specific projects. Through the partnership, it is not broad or exclusive alliance, but back in 2022, Panasonic partnered with Joja and NVIDIA to integrate GPUs, networking, and storage for high-performance computing, HPC, and AI applications as showcased at SC 2022. Additionally, Panasonic's Connect Kairos, a native SMPTE ST2110 switcher, utilizes NVIDIA networking technologies. I know I sound hyped. I am. The research just hypes me up. Sorry. As highlighted in NVIDIA Media and Entertainment Partner Showcase. These instances indicate targeted technical collaborations rather than a strategic or corporate level partnership. I prefer seeing that other than what is strategic, everybody. I want to see that utility in motion. But while no evidence suggests deeper or ongoing partnership beyond the specific use cases, you can draw your own conclusion in regards to what would be used in the future. Is that future here soon? I think it basically is. And I want to give this shout out to this brother in the community. Yep, I refer to him as the Jasmy Yoda. KIR Finance on a search is the only person in the entire research consortium of Kairos who cited some of this. So awesome shout out to Jesse, our brother in this space. He points out that Escon Field Hokkaido, known as the best baseball park in the world, opened in 2023, and it is in fact the site of the Jasmy Wits partnership. The entry-exit system. Panasonic was also heavily involved in the ballpark. Panasonic is one of a kind Kairos IT IP platform, and look what it says here. This gets so juicy, it's going to blow your freaking mind. Wow, look at this. One of a kind to enable video with diverse aspect ratios and intuitively layered resolutions to 600 digital signage displays for immersive real-time viewing experiences with low latency throughout the stadium, hotel, hot springs, and saunas. There's also Panasonic Club near third base, but whatever the case be, you see how this all comes together. Here's a few visuals, and man, oh man, to see the verification with actual research, I think speaks volumes about it all, whether it's an unrivaled ballpark or whether it's some of these other key things. And like you see, Panasonic front row center on the right in regards to that specific club lounge. So before we get into the last part of it, to pound it home even that much more, man, oh man, Mr. Michael Golpe, the way I look at it, sir, is there is some things there that people are simply sleeping on when it comes to the connections of Jasmy and the bigger picture. I think the bigger picture is the plug of Junction, that layer 2 scaling deep in times AI solution. Again, some of your thoughts.
My takeaway is the future is now. Everything that was in the movies back from the 80s and 90s on forward, it's coming to fruition. Jasmy is the sleeper of sleeper cryptos, it seems. Tying in with NVIDIA like this, watching the whole piece from NVIDIA, I'm blown away by this. I see a lot of utilization of what you would see like the future cars, how driving is going to be autonomous. The little indicators are in the road in Japan from what I last remember. People will be able to just drive around without touching the wheel. And my takeaway is that definitely Jasmy is the sleeper. I want to hear more of what you got here. I'm pumped up. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm pumped up right now.
Yeah, I'm very pumped up. You can hear it in my own emotions. Let's get back into it because we realize this is quite the deep dive. And let's face it, a lot of people click off and man, you really missed out. I'm just going to say that.
Right.
Let's get into this, guys. This is awesome stuff to say the least. So what do we really have? Well, check this out. This is actually going to come from VITS. They have some updates. Yes, VITS has some updates. So let's pull this up. And as you see right here, it's kind of like a roadmap of updates, to say the least. So we'll start off with this one. So in my own notes, remember we watched that video together. One thing that stood out from Mr. Jensen: robotics, sensors, radars, and you could turn that into tokens. Think about it, everybody. What is he referring to? Well, he also talks about predicting the next path. What is the next path? Omniverse he talks about, right? Full self-driving scale infrastructure, enterprise tools. What are some of the tools? Okay, so we know that Jasmy will benefit the local societies because as pairings, they even have their own stablecoin, DD. We talked about Japanese yen denominated stablecoins and so on. And again, you're more than welcome to take a look at some of my deep dives in my video catalog. But again, let's jump into this. I think it's very major to say the least. So as we see here from VITS, we will be speaking at the International Symposium on Artificial Intelligence Standardization. How many times I talk about standards like with ISO 222, ISO TC 307 with Quant Network, and even with what Jasmy has with ISO 27001 when it comes to everything they're connected to with patents, you name it, right? So this was mentioned on June 18th. And I think this is definitely worth pointing out because it gives you an idea how it all comes together. At the International Symposium on Artificial Intelligence Standardization, AI Standardization towards the realization of trustworthy AI, that was to be held at least last year, but it's the people that showed up to this, okay? So again, Human Machine Evolution System Guidebook. Who were some of the participants who were there? I don't know if you guys remember one of the old deep dives I did about how Jasmy can become an ISO standard. This guy was in that intro. He is Professor Dr. Roy Sugamura, Supervisor Innovator Coordinator at National Research Institute of Advanced Industrial Science and Technology, ACE. He is the chairman of AI Standardization Committee, ACE. And by the way, ISO IEC JTC1 and SC42 Japan Mirror Committee. Now, I know that Chainlink chose, or I should say the other way around, Jasmy chose Chainlink, and I respect that. But this is why I posted so much info over the years about Quant and potentially Jasmy. Again, I think they're indirectly involved, and here's proof of that. NIST is a part of ISO TC 307. Look it up for yourself. That is the Quant Network standard. And who was a participant in this? It's Chief AI Advisor from NIST, Associate Director for Emerging Technologies at Information Technology Laboratory, and it is Miss Elham Tabasi, okay? I think that speaks volumes about some of these participants, and there's many talents. Here's another one, Senselic. I just covered that a few times in some of my recent deep dives. Senselic, is also part of ISO TC 307. That's the Quant Network standard. So I'm just throwing that out there. Wow, big, huge connections to say the least. All right, look at this. The timeline, okay? So focus on this part. It says we'll be exhibiting at Robot Technology in Japan, and again, that was last year. Again, robot technology, okay, and some of this AI stuff. Now watch, this is going to get really interesting. Remember how we talked about in the notes specifically about, you know, predicting the next path, and even in the illustration, some of those partners? Okay, so this gets good. Because the whole concept of VITS having a statement of a partnership building declaration announced, well, again, you saw the whole timeline. It's not just what's in 2024, was also what was in 2023, promoting a collaboration, and coexistence and prosperity with their supply chain partners, business operators, again, creating value, collaboration, strengthening some of that, and so on. So I think this is major, and here's the icing on the cake. The icing on the cake is this new recent update. You know, Max, you're just citing stuff from the past. You don't have nothing new from VITS. Well, guess what? Yeah, I do. Look at the date. Literally, look at the date. This flew under the radar. We will be exhibiting at RoboDex from Wednesday, May 14, 2025 to May 16th in Kansai. And you see this call to action. So my thing is this. We have already researched the whole thing of Sony with Afila. We know that Sony, basically you have former Sony executives that are part of Jasmy. We have Tadashi Morita, who does the patents, obviously dating back not just to Sony, but to Panasonic as well. And we also know what he's done with the work with Jasmy. Then you see this, and again, this gets incredibly interesting. So excited to be a Jasmy holder, as you can see. I think this is so major because, again, it's these participants, and they're going to be part of this thing. They're going to be part of this particular RoboDex. All right, so focus on RoboDex because Mr. Jensen talked about robotics a lot, right, in that particular video. Well, here it is. boil it, mash it, stick that sucker in a stew once again. Robodex is a Japanese technology exhibition focused on robotics and related technology, specifically robot and development application, including robots, autonomous guided vehicles, yeah, baby, there we go, and components for robots. It is also the name of a company that develops, operates, manufactures, and supports commercial UAVs, which means unmanned aerial vehicles, with a focus on integrating intelligent energy fuel cells. Energy fuel cells is your what? That is your Jasmy Panasonic plug, for crying out loud. And even on this Innovation Week, Japan's leading robotics technology expedition, everybody's recognizing this. This is going to be the next thing that's going to be coming up here soon. And guys and gals, everybody, this is absolute bombshell information, because guess what? The Robodex exhibition, as cited from Gronk, has featured other corporations and institutions such as Kawasaki, for crying out loud, presenting production improvement activities using IoT and learn manufacturing. Honda, because we know they're collaborating with Sony. Remember how we talked about Sony Afeela? That's also Honda's part of that. That showcases production engineering based on its manufacturing philosophy. And boy, oh boy, when you see other large corporates or institutions beyond intelligent energy, Robodex, it has been linked to all these major corporations and institutions. They have, like it says, however, serve as a hub for broader industry collaborations with RX Japan Limited, facilitating connections among robotics firms, technical experts, and even manufacturers. And just in case you weren't aware of Honda Sony Afeela, dating back to January 6, 2025, electric vehicle gets a $90,000 price, but plus subscription. What do you think that subscription would be? Look at the Jasmy base model. Look at all the research that we talked about for a good 2+ years, 3 years, even people before me. Jasmy, if you look at the white paper, talks about subscription-based model for data democratization. My gosh, I feel as though this is one of the biggest discoveries in the research, to say the least. And there's so many publications that are talking about this, even from Electric, about Afeela 1's EV, $90,000 price tag, and again, plus subscription. Think about it. Back to what the guy from NVIDIA talked about, Mr. Jensen. Back to the whole thing about the tokens. I think this absolutely speaks volumes, and just to confirm it a little bit more in regards to Afeela, look at this. I know I sound excited, but my God, I haven't been this excited in a long time. Data management needs Afeela. Data management. What about personal data management? What about Jasmy and the personal data locker? Look at this. The Afeela's one's personal agent autonomous features likely rely on collecting, processing user data. This is Grok saying. This is not Maximus Crypto saying. I'm just reading it verbatim. Voice commands, driving patterns, entertainment preferences. Does it align with Jasmy's focus on secure data management for IoT devices? It does. It says it aligns, everybody, just in case you don't see it. It sounds like I'm yelling. I'm sorry. This aligns with Jasmy's focus. What about the Sony connection? Jasmy is founded by Sony executives. Look what it says, including Sony Honda Mobility. Could tap into Jasmy blockchain expertise, especially for IoT applications like a connected EV. Holy cow! And just in case you're not worried about it, there's other citations and other references from streaming to gaming. Sony times Honda's Afeela 1 elevates every ride. Every ride. And what else do we have from NVIDIA? Reimagining growth and profits and safety with the help of NVIDIA QOpt to solve complex routing problems and incredible AI compute powered by NVIDIA, Jetson AGX, Orin, and look what it says there. That's why I include Kawasaki, is developing a digital platform. My goodness, this is a whole ecosystem that people aren't even aware about. And some people say, well, over here in the United States, they don't really look up Jasmy a lot. Okay, fair enough. NeoXTrix points this out in the visual, that the #1 search in regards to forensics tools dating back to November 2024 edition, at least over there in Japan, points out this ranking. It says this, and I'll zoom just a tad bit more, introducing the latest popularity rankings that are useful for comparing forensic tools. In November 2024, we presented forensic tools that have received the most inquiries from users on IT. And what does it say on the right side, everybody? My goodness gracious, great balls of fire. Jasmy Secure PC, computer forensics, network forensics, data recovery, data acquisition, trace investigation. I'm done talking about it. my goodness, I just want to get back to you, brother, because you deserve to speak, and I apologize, but I was so absolutely psyched about the findings, to say the least. Your thoughts, my friend, my dear friend, Mr. Michael Golpe, and I just want to include you and thank you. And guys, please give him a follower at Michael Golpe on his channel on YouTube and X. Welcome this guy to the Jasmy Army, because he holds Jasmy apparently. And again, I got to get some of your closing thoughts, because I think this is a bombshell discovery, to say the least. Shout out to all you guys that stay the course with this really long deep dive.
Wow, I'm stunned by it. And you're right, this is a bombshell. This tied in the traditional companies in Japan, like NVIDIA, Kawasaki, Honda, I mean, Sony, of course. You got Jasmy in there. You just gave everyone the bombshell, in my humble opinion, about what to buy, because this is the future. It's coming online. We got robotics, we got drones, we got self-driving cars. Wow, this is a fantastic deep dive. Yeah, I'm just gonna say, in my opinion, time to buy.
But not financial advice. Wah, 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 right? Anyway, you know how we got to protect ourselves. Anyway. Well, guys, I don't know, Michael, I don't know if you have any closing thoughts or anything else you want to add, my friend.
Wow. I'm just still so stunned. Your expertise is amazing in this, in researching this. You are a go-to person, my friend. If you're not subscribed to this channel, if you just happen to stumble upon, follow Maximus Crypto. You got all the, just follow this channel, or just go to it. If you see it on my channel, I'm going to tag him in it, of course. Follow Max. You're going to get all the info you ever need.
Thank you, brother. That means a lot. So with that said, I'll give you the honor of giving everybody the closing code word, because you guys know how it goes. If you listen to the entire outline, we give you a code word. So what is the code word for everybody as we close it out, Michael?
AI.
That's fair enough with me. That sounds fair. That sounds right. So AI, type in AI into the comments. And no, we're not talking about Allen Iverson. We're talking about artificial intelligence. And shout out to AI, Allen Iverson, right?
Right.
Thanks again for tuning in, guys. I'm telling you flat out, Jasmy was doing some recent pumping, which is kind of cool. Actually, it's really cool. But man, if you guys really understand Jasmy and that long-term vision, I think you can get an idea about it. But there's going to be so many people who are going to swing trade it. Hey, you got to do what you got to do. But for me, Jasmy is one of the most slept on, best projects out there for that long-term sustainable growth that we're all hungry for. The connections are so robust. Thanks again for tuning in, everybody. I really mean this when I say this, and I think Michael does too. I am so praying and rooting for all your success. I really, really mean that. As you see, I'm very passionate about this. I've been so glad to cover Jasmy, even since back to the days of the monitoring zone and when Binance put him in there. I did not escape from my convictions of Jasmy because I did the research. A lot of you guys did the research too. And I know there's a lot of stuff going on with Jasmy and the whole Binance situation, but did it not do some pretty decent pumps and have some real significance in regards to his performance for the week? In light of all that, it did. If anything, let that speak on top of all the research. So we won't keep you any further, everybody. Know what you have, know why you hold it. The research trumps FUD 110%. We will see you on the next one. Over and out. Wow, so there you have it. Glad to share that with you guys. I didn't want to delay this too long. There's actually a clip that kind of does a little interlude. This is a shout out to, again, all you guys in this community, the weather, the storm, and so on. But, we're going to play that here in a bit. I was so glad to obviously do the collab with Michael Golpe. We worked on this, and it took a while, as you know. It's been a while since I've done a deep dive kind of like this style in a while, but glad to bring it to you guys. I want to highlight a couple things here. So $2 super chat from Henry Brown. Jasmy will surprise a lot of people. I totally agree, brother. Absolutely. Glad to be honored and graced with your presence, Henry Brown. But thank you again for that $2 super chat. And also another super chat, $5 super chat. We are pumped up tonight. We are doing WrestleMania. No sleep, only Jasmy till tomorrow. Thank you again. And again, thank you to everybody who provided some super chats earlier. You guys know who you are. I also meant to highlight this a little bit longer on the screen. Dr. Denise, thank you again for your super chat, $11.11. And I do believe earlier we had another person, I think dropped $1, was way up in the chat. Sorry about that. But yeah, you guys, thank you so much. It really does mean a lot. And it's well appreciated to say the least. So very glad to obviously share that with you guys. I do see that you guys listen. So you typed in the code word AI. Awesome. I will read this real quick. Hey, Max, are you going to sell in QNT this bull run or too risky in case the price doesn't drop again? I don't know. It's hard to call that because, we're not there yet. But the way I look at it personally, this is what I'm doing. Everybody has to do what they got to do. For me, the ISO coins and so on, obviously QNT is part of that because it's ISO TC307. There's ones that I don't touch personally, because I'm in it for the long game. Like I'm not talking about long game, but I mean like long-term investments and so on. I may take maybe a little bit of profits depending on where it goes. But the way I look at it, this is why I like being diversified. So I'm into, I don't know, give or take 45 or 50 different projects. I was at 60 at one point. So I kind of swapped a few things around, but I like the idea that being diversified allows you to, if you wanted to, I'm not saying people do this, but let's say there's a project I don't talk about much and that thing does something big. Well, then it's like, okay, well, I can take something from that and maybe buy more of some of these other things, or just be happy that, hey, this particular project or a few of them did very, very well. But for the most part, to answer your question, as far as the ISOs and Jasmy, I don't know if I actually touched this, like, for example, the end of this year or, maybe by 2030. I don't know, because the way I look at it is I'm in it for the long-term gain, excuse me. So if I'm going to sell a QNT, this will run too risky. Again, it just depends. I know that's not really quite answer your question, but there's so many different market dynamics in that regard. I do think this much, though. This year in 2025, we finally get the deals done as far as obviously the mandates, the regulations, and everything moving forward. It has to be this year. I don't see why this will keep getting drug out in the mud. All right. Yeah, I'm not leaving quite yet, but thank you. I just want to read some comments, but I do realize this is a long WrestleMania, as the saying goes. Applied intelligence. Okay. Thank you so much. I think one of you guys said Allen Iverson in the comments. That was kind of funny. Yeah, Joshua, that's funny. Okay. Absolute fire. What an incredible find. Thank you, Justin. Appreciate that. All right. So this is for all you Jasmy holders. You may have seen this. It's kind of cool. There is a little bit of language, but we're all adults here for the most part. This is in light of all the nonsense that happened with Binance and whatnot. But, use the visuals to give you an idea of that, hopefully that soon-to-be future of yours, okay? Yeah, just that's the way I personally look at it. So it'll be a fun little thing. You'll recognize some key people here. And this is shout out to the entire Jasmy Navy, Army, Jasmy Armed Forces, right? Here we go.
Drop the top and let the sun shine in. With the wood grain, let the Twinkies spin. Get you a glass, mix the Coke and the hen. It's quite alright with the draw in the wind, with the draw in the wind. Got me a 73 Chevy, put dubs on that bitch. Candy, apple, green, niggas loving this shit. Loving this shit. And when I'm in it, I'll act a fool. You don't like and switch sides. Hot hole worker Sean John below to the floor. He ought to enjoy with the loaded 4-4. Be sure and acquire more for your fuck with mine. Disrespect, I'll disconnect your line. With a 6-watt, when shit's hot you get shot. The fire, the fury, you fuck with it not. You're stopping the grace, get out my space and my face. For me and my ace, lay down the whole place. Recognize, this is the verbalized surprise. Fucking with me. Wrong way to wise, nigga. Hoes, show those goals. Big old bank rolls, that's all a nigga knows. Throw your elbows, I'm sicker than I suppose. Hold them chose, cause my jury froze. You know how it goes, these young niggas don't want it like this. Go off and get your get to silence the chit-chat blast. So pass, outlast, bout cash. More sicky, talk tricky, to the trick like trash. No rilla, a gorilla flow for most thriller. Come clean, look at me, but you ain't no killer. Drop the top and let the sun shine in. With the wood grain, let the Twinkies spin. Get you a glass, mix the Coke and the hen. It's quite alright with the throw in the wind. With the throw in the wind.
That one was for all you guys, weathering the storms and so on. So I'm just going to read the last bit of comments. We have one more quick little video, one of my own personal faves that we're going to play. And then, yeah, going to wrap it up. So thank you so much to all you guys. Dr. Denise, who tuned in tonight. Joshua, Sonny, Fast Nickel. Awesome to have you guys. Justin, Time, Elon Muff, Michael Cornwell, Henry Brown, you guys know who you are. Nina Blossom, thank you so much. Glad you like it. Yeah, it's almost over. And yeah, that was a Trick Daddy remix, right? Very cool. You loved You Lose Yourself? Yeah, I got a few other ones. I'll tell you the one I'm working on is Bone Thugs, believe it or not. And it's Look Into My Eyes from The Art of War. Now, you would never think that would be a thing, but it's Bone Thugs with, shout out to Selmo Fudd, right? You know, Bone Thugs out of, Cleveland, Ohio. But you guys are going to love it. It's a long work in progress, but that one's, I already shared a demo of it with Brew, and he was blown away. It's really, really cool. Obviously, we're going to mix some really cool visuals of, your XRPs. All basically everything that we cover is going to be featured in the music video. And it's going to be really, really cool. Some of you guys gave me some really cool compliments. I'm really honored. Shout out to you guys that remember this key person back in the day, especially in the 90s, right? I had 3 people, not 4, but 3. I did count 3. You guys said I was the Hype Williams of crypto because of the music videos. Wow, what a compliment, what an honor. So thank you for that. But yeah, we're going to sign off with this. It's going to be... it's kind of like a Ice Cube rock and reinvention, if you will. Kind of somewhat rock. It's kind of like a nice smooth mellow. It's not Motown, but it's pretty cool. So it's like Ice Cube 2001 with electric guitar. You may think, I don't know about that. It's pretty cool. Before we get into it, just a little disclaimer, and I'm going to do this on a video reaction with Rue Black in the future. So I want to give you guys a little background on this. Pay attention to the visuals. There's a message there. So when it gets to the part where it shows the DeLorean, well, it's a really nice visual. So it shows you going back in time to 1999. Why did I point out 1999? That's the year I graduated high school. There's another visual that shows it going back to 1981. Why point that out? That was the year I was born. right? I try to get the visuals to match the lyrics. I hope you guys appreciate that. With that said, I'll read this last comment from Dr. Denise. Thank you for your passion and wisdom. What a spontaneous Friday night live. Great to spend time with you all. Hey, thank you so much, Dr. Denise. That's awesome. And here it is. This one doesn't really have bad language for the most part, but we're all adults. But this one, I don't know, there's something about this one I think might be the one that takes the cake. I'm very, very proud of this one. Very, very proud, to say the least. So yeah, today was a good day, but you have to see it, especially the beginning part. Just woke up in the morning, got to thank God. You see the sunrise. It's very cool. All right, we're signing off with this. Smash that like if you haven't done so already. Check out the recorded version of this airing tomorrow morning. It does help the channel if you do watch it. But whatever the case, be glad to bring a live to you once again. I really appreciate each and every one of you guys. I really mean that. I hope you have an awesome weekend. Know what you have, know why you hold it. As the saying goes, the research trumps FUD 110%. We will see you guys on the next one, and follow Michael Golpe at Michael Golpe, all one word, on YouTube and X. And of course, follow Rue Black, everybody I'm networked with. Shout out to all you guys. Here we go.
Waking up in the morning, thank God. I don't know, but today seems kinda odd. No barking from the dog, no smog, and Mama cooked the breakfast with no hog. I got my grub on, but didn't dig out. Finally got a call from a girl I wanna dig out. Hooked it up for later as I hit the door, thinking, will I live another 24? I gotta go, cause I got me a drop top, and if I hit the switch, I can make the ass drop. Had to stop at a red light, looking in my mirror, not a cop in sight, and everything is alright. I got a text from Kim, we can love all night. Called up the pals and I'm asking which park are you playing basketball? Got me on the court and I'm trouble. Last week played around and got a triple-double. Freaking brothers every way like MJ. Can't believe today was a good day. Today was a good day. Can't believe today was a good day.